Hey there, Smite fans, and welcome into the Smite Open Circuit, this time in North America. I'm Aggro, joined by Mifflin today, as we look at two pretty strong teams in NA, Miff. I mean, we've got Woogy and No Bloogys, excuse me, I want to be very clear about that. Woogy and No Bloogys up against oHey, and some pretty recognizable names on both sides. Woogy and No Bloogys includes MORWolves, making his PC transition over from the console side. Not sure if he's using a keyboard and mouse or not. Layerssss, molluskk support, and GuyJ, who's a hunter player who's been tearing up the rank scene as of late, up against oHey, who is KikiOnSwitch, aka Kiki no Chiki, Glaivus, Amuel, Oceans, and Frasion. Miff, these are some pretty good-looking teams.
If you told me it was the SOC and I knew nothing about the leagues, I wouldn't believe you with how many names that are so recognizable on both squads. I mean, Woogy and the No Bloogys, whatever their name is,
Sure.
They've got these recognizable console players in molluskk, oBoronic, Layers, and Wolves who've all seen high success over there, and oHey has these SPL level players that have been around in Oceans and Amuel and Kiki, who maybe haven't been as involved in the last coming years, but now they're getting back into it through the SOC, and I am excited to see them play.
Yeah, I think this could be a very, very competitive match. I'm excited to see how Wolves does. Is that hype unit team that was trying to make the transition over from console to the PC side. I think Wolves was a notable missing piece. Not that Uzi wasn't doing well for them, but I was certainly curious at where Wolves was with how storied his career was, how well he's going to fit back with Layers. I'm sure it's going to be back to normal pretty quickly for them, I would imagine. As Hunbats and Xing taken off the board, and Jing and Odin. We're starting to see a lot more Jing bans, Mifflin. Is that just because teams think that she's too safe? You can't really do a whole lot against her?
I think it's two-pronged, the reason we're seeing it. Prong number one, it's that crits back in meta, and Jing benefits greatly, especially off the stim on her 2 and the cleave auto attacks. She's going to be really working with that meta build, as well as the fact that she is just incredibly safe. And if you do manage to kill her, she's just going to fly back in a lane. She's not going to lose out on too much farm either way. With the lanes as they are now, we're seeing a little bit less of a duo focus after that 3-minute gank mark for junglers. So having a safe god that's going to be able to transition well into the late game is so potent, and Jing brings that every step of the way.
A lot of gods that you feel like are high priority have made it through. Yemoja and Persephone are the first 2 picks, no surprise. And I think it's an interesting strategy here by oHey, knowing that molluskk is a support player for Woogy and No Bloogys, that you know he's a jungler, that's what he's been playing for the most of his career. How comfortable really is he on a very unconventional support god? They let the Yemoja through. We'll see how molluskk performs on it. If that is going over to molluskk, we've seen some Yemoja solo lane in the past, and it opens up that Persephone in the mid lane for Amuel on the other side. But you got to look at the top 3 picks here for Woogy, Yemoja, Xbalanque, Thor. You got to be feeling pretty good about those 3.
That's a solid comp, and as you said, I think Yemoja's best fit is in that support role, so maybe they do shift letting him through, or her rather, because they knew, as you say, that molluskk is a little bit less comfortable. His playstyle shifts towards the more aggressive. He really likes to run it down, if you would, hold down W, and Yemoja can do that eventually, but her early game, she's going to be a little bit Omi starved, as well as she doesn't have that early game pressure that molluskk is used to playing off of his jungle picks. So it should be a little bit of a disparity if we do see that go towards the long lane.
Couple just split the difference bans here by oHey, Cullen, and Kukulkan, and then Pele and Terra. So both sides looking at some frontline and some damage dealers towards the mid lane as Athena's locked in here for oHey. That could be Athena jungle. That's what I'm looking at with these comps. Or it could be Cerberus in the solo lane. That was a very popular spot for him when he first came out. Really transitioned more towards Guardian as of late, but certainly still has that wave clear potential. Scylla is hovered, but it's going to be Raijin instead in the mid lane here for oBoronic. Raijin, a god that I think I see his stock rising. A recent buff, just he brings enough at all points in the game. He's a fairly well-rounded mage, it feels like to me.
Raijin was struggling a little bit too much in the early to justify a pick, but recent buffs have seen his early game really pick up just a little bit, enough for him to get to his absolutely dominant late game. Once the 25-minute mark rolls around, Raijin's one of the best mages you can have. As well as if you look at Woogy's comp, they have these bridge gods and the Guan to get the pressure, and the Thor to keep up global pressure, trying to make sure that these late game characters can get to the actual late game. Whereas on the side of oHey, you have these early game divers. Persephone's going to be a bully in the lane. Daji is going to be looking to pick up these early kills. If Raijin ever uses his jump, he's going to be completely in danger. And Athena, with that global presence as well, is going to keep up the kill potential. So oHey has a decent comp coming into it, trying to shut down these late game picks from Oogies, but it's not going to be easy.
I mean, I like both sides. We'll see how it ends up, as Oceans will be piloting that Cerberus in the support role, and Kiki playing one of his picks that he played a lot of in the SPL and really, really had a lot of success with in that Athena solo lane, as Frasion already actually used the beads. molluskk forces that out nicely. And this is going to be the lane to watch in my mind, is how well this duo lane for Woogy and No Bloogys performs. Because molluskk, as we already highlighted, normally a jungler, not typically a support player. How is he going to do in this role? But GuyJ, I don't know if you've had the pleasure of having him on your team or the fear of going against him, Mifflin, but this dude has been tearing it up as of late. Certainly one of the guys that I'm looking forward to seeing how well he performs in a competitive setting, because his ranked performance has been impressive so far.
I mean, personally, I'm low elo scum, so I haven't got to play against him myself, but I've heard the murmurings about GuyJ and how dominant he can be. I'm keeping my eyes on Oceans as well, another player that hasn't really been in support roles. This huge fight erupts in mid.
Wow, it looks like that Layers should be the one that oHey is watching out for, as he finds himself a quick double kill in the mid lane. Both oBoronic and Amuel starting off with those lifesteal boots, but Amuel not able to escape. A little surprised that oHey gets caught by that, because they knew that Layers and oBoronic had headed towards their red buff to try and get that invade going. That they're coming behind him, but Glaivus and Amuel both push up, and they give Layers on Thor the first 2 kills of the game instantly. That is probably not a winning recipe if you're oHey. Layers getting ahead on this god seems like nearly a death sentence.
I mean, Layers, one of those aggressive style junglers who's going to run with the lead. This guy loves to play inside the enemy jungle, and Thor with the lead in general is going to be hard to play against because of the passive power he gets, as well as just he has one of the most dominant mid to early games with his global pressure. That double kill first blood is going to get him early boots, it's going to get him that early ultimate so he can continue to put on the pressure, and it's going to really shift the dynamic of this lane. Beforehand, before this double kill, we would have expected Amuel to be the one bodying with that early pressure from Persephone, but instead, now it's Thor going to be able to put his pressure on the map.
Interesting that oBoronic actually backs and buys himself a Mage's Blessing right away in that moment with that extra gold, knowing that he has to reset. That's the one thing about this start with the Purple Boots Rush, is that you have very, very little mana sustain. Mage's Blessing, another item that recently got a buff, now up to 30 power in the magical department. So I think that it's an interesting start. You just happen to have that amount of gold lying around. You got 700 gold. Toss it on the Blessing, and now you got some mana sustain. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, Mage's Blessing is actually very good now. I know beforehand with the recent Mage changes, Restored Artifact Rush was better, a Talon Rush would have been better, but now Mage's Blessing is truly a decent pickup. It's going to bring the power that you need to match clear with someone else who's rushing these higher power items, as well as that MP5 is going to allow you to spam out your abilities. If you are playing a poke fake focused character, I think that's really where you should go with your build.
So, Miff, I know that you were a jungle player. I know you also fancy yourself a support king. How different really are those roles? Is this going to be a hard transition for molluskk?
In terms of play style, it is slightly different, but it's more of a mentality shift of, as the jungler, you're being selfish. You're like, I want every kill. If I show up to gank, you better not take my last hit. I'm going to also leech your wave, and then I'm going to go clear a buff. Don't come with me. I want all that farm to myself. As the support, it's really, I want to do the same types of engagements, and that I want to find these early ganks. I want to find this huge CC into abilities, but you're not looking for the kill yourself. You're trying to just stay on par in farm. At least my mentality was to just stay on par in farm with the enemy support. If we're 10k up and my team all has a 4-level lead, I still want to be the exact same level as the enemy support, which means that that's more XP for my squad to get so they can pull ahead. Whereas, as I said, jungle is a little bit more selfish.
Yeah, I mean, this is what all support players should learn, Mifflin. I think that you're speaking to it perfectly, is that you are worth less on the battlefield. You should be giving up all of your farm to the carries, and you should die in every team fight. That's kind of the game plan, as far as I'm concerned, for support. We need a little bit of support right now as we're getting some issues worked out, but we will be doing that very shortly, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with the Smite SOC. Welcome back, everybody. We're back in game here with the Smite SOC Finals in North America. Bad news for you, though, chat. Doug, unfortunately, his computer has gone down, so we will be riding along with another member of production. So just keep your expectations not at Doug level. That's as high as they can go, I'm sure. So we'll be getting through this game one way or the other. Woogy and No Bloogys have gotten off to a red-hot start with Layers getting that double kill in the mid lane. And now it's a matter of how well Amuel and Glaivus can try and catch up, Mifflin, because oBoronic and Layers, but mostly Layers, will be trying to control this game from here on out.
And it's going to be hard, it really will be. Persephone's playstyle lends itself towards playing towards the center of the map. You're going to want to completely control the lane through poke, and that's when Thor is going to really pop off at level 5. That's not a safe spot. Guan, you getting aggressed on, though.
Guan in a little bit of trouble on that blue buff right now, trying to get that invade going. Layers on the way, but Wolves just a little bit too caught out. Beautiful body blocks by Glaivus and co, but now Glaivus might have been left a little bit too alone on the island. Layers already TP'd in, but won't be in range for this last auto attack. Glaivus will escape with his life, but just narrowly. A good idea by Wolves to go for that invade as Layers still looking for Kiki. oBoronic in tow now will secure it, so at least Woogy and No Bloogys get something. But Wolves just a little bit too ambitious on that invade by himself. Needed to wait a little bit longer.
The bait could be pretty good for Woogy and the No Bloogys. Layers getting his 3rd kill of the match, hitting level 5 at around the 3-minute 30 mark. That's an insane curve of XP for your jungler. He's going to be able to back, finish his complete boots, walk out of base with his ultimate available, and potentially look towards Amuel to get this gank at him on level 4. Especially now that he's out of mana, it's a dangerous place to be.
This is the problem with this purple boots rush, as we kind of highlighted already, that you just don't have any mana, and oBoronic and molluskk might realize that, but don't have the option to go particularly aggressive in that moment. About a 2,000 gold lead 4 minutes in for Woogy and No Bloogys, and that is excessive at this point in the game compared to what you might normally see. Where does oHey try and turn this around? What lane are you looking for to try and step up here?
You really hope that the duo lane can really pop off against the enemies, but you don't want to allocate your jungler towards that direction because you need to keep the Daji around the center of the map to control the Thor, to keep those counter ganks available. So it's really on oHey's duo to just step it up on their own in this island and hope that Thor doesn't rotate over there. Daji doesn't really have the potential to match a duo lane gank. She doesn't have that same pressure in lane as a two-man dunk can bring.
Well, Layers has paid attention to that duo lane, and they lose their purple buff. Also cost GuyJ his ultimate, so the two globals slash semi-globals on Woogy and No Bloogys are on cooldown for the moment. And the one thing that does stand out to me about oHey's comp, I agree with you that the duo lane is where they should try and get the ball rolling, so to speak, but they have a lot of CC when it comes to that 5-man grouping, as Glaivus is trying to get a little bit of his CC off. He's already used that ultimate, and oBoronic gonna put him down on this left-hand side. GuyJ under a little bit of pressure, but no ultimate from Frasion. Doesn't seem like it will matter because he's got a little bit of help in tow. Oceans on that side of the map. There's Frasion making the play happen. And at the same time, Kiki ends up surviving. So that's exactly what you're looking for until Layers ends up coming in and cleaning up Kiki. Well, looks like he'll be able to not escape cleanly, though, because that wave is still there, and Amuel gonna try and chase him down. Glaivus might be able to cut off this escape path, or Oceans right here waiting will clean up Layers, and that's kind of ideal. GuyJ gets killed on the left-hand side because the gank from Oceans, not having that dodgy over there, Miff. I mean, that's exactly what you were looking for.
Thor's bounty at that point was so large as well. He was 4-0. Unfortunate for oHey that the kill lands onto Oceans on the support, but also kind of fortunate in that Cerberus does bring this level of aggression that he can continue to W key down enemies, and that's what you need right now is some sort of early game bridge to keep Amuel online, to keep Frasion on live. But oHey also has the added benefit of having this Athena in the solo lane. If they do shift their focus towards the duo lane as we called for, Athena can ult over, it will give up her lane, she'd likely lose a tower, but getting a double kill in the duo lane gets you a gold fury.
Layers looking for Amuel, and that should do it with a little bit of extra damage from oBoronic, but a big ultimate. Promotion's gonna force some beads. molluskk can't quite save Layers' life as Glaivus finds him, and Amuel still contributing, of course, from beyond the grave, but oBoronic is doing all the damage, takes down Glaivus, oHhens jumps in, so he's likely to be next. oBoronic just waiting on some cooldowns before he finishes off oHhens. Kiki finally gonna channel that ultimate, but it's far too late to save oHhens. It's a 2-for-1 in the mid lane in favor of Woogy and No Bloogys.
And that 1,000 gold lead just a minute ago turns into 2,000 now. Woogy and No Bloogys completely in the driver's seat. They have control over the left side of the map. They have control in the middle of the map. It's going to be hard for oHey to really get their footing again. It's really on Woogy and the Bloogys to make a misplay at this point. If they decide to go towards these objectives, they're favored in the team fight there. If they continue to just farm up and play aggressive in these lanes, they're favored there. It's going to be difficult for oHey to continue on this trajectory. They need to stop the bleed somewhere. You imagine Glaivus might have to start moving towards that dual lane as it's the only one that has safe kill potential.
And we're back with Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Our savior has returned, though. Shoutouts to Jay, of course, for holding us over. As we can see the bird's eye view once again, 8-4 for Woogy and No Bloogys. This is going to be a game where you got to look at how well Layers can keep this ball rolling, so to speak. But Miff, I do have to say that really, really delayed Athena ult in that mid lane engagement is a little bit concerning. I mean, if you're not picking Athena solo for those types of engagements to use that ultimate effectively there, when are you using that ultimate effectively? That just seemed awfully late.
It was late. We didn't get to see the lane. He could have been getting pressured out by Wolves on the Guan Yu, or maybe it's a lack of communication on the side of oHey. This is a comp that they all have competitive experience, but they haven't been playing together for too long, so maybe there was just a little bit of a desync there. But they need to shift that focus. They need to start playing better around it if they want to get back into this game.
Layers try to contest these oracles, but they go the way of oHey. Layers still moving up, though. No beads for Glaivus, so he used that ultimate very early to try and dissuade any extra aggression. 0 for 3 on those shots as Kiki has joined in with the ultimate early enough this time, and Amuel feeling Layers' presence in the back line, but a great ultimate gonna lock him down and cripple him before he can go anywhere. A two-man pickup from oHhens. Layers is gonna fall to Frasion, and oHhens gonna grab molluskk as well. Wolves does clean up Amuel eventually, as oBoronic getting some help from GuyJ in the back line. GuyJ takes down Kiki, as oBoronic actually dashes in to try and secure that kill that wasn't needed. Frasion with his third in a row, 3-0 for the Hou-Yi at this point, as oHhens trying to get away from Wolves, and GuyJ, that jump will do enough for that. And that's a win for oHey, a 3 for 2 in their favor.
A win for oHey despite Glaivus just essentially not using his ultimate. But that's exactly what I said oHey was looking for. It was for Woogy and No Bloogys to get overly aggressive, make a mistake. We saw there that, yes, Layers did find the dunk onto Persephone, but she still had her ultimate and beads available. She wasn't able to follow up. Glaivus getting picked out a little bit here, over-aggressive in his own jungle, lives just barely by the skin of his teeth. If oHey can continue to maintain this defensive positioning and Woogy and No Bloogys continue to just mindlessly walk at them, that's a perfect avenue to get back into this match.
Frasion on the run, but GuyJ can't find the slow, and molluskk a little bit too far away, so Frasion does manage to escape. And you were looking for the duo lane to make plays, Mifflin, and they've certainly done that. A combined 5-1 for them so far in this game. They've been a part of, they have 5 of the 7 kills for oHey, which is huge, as Wolves going awfully aggressive on this side of the map, because Layers is right here with the double dunk, but Glaivus still gonna find at least one. Kiki still has his ultimate, so can start channeling that if need be, but doesn't want to root himself for Layers to deal all the damage. Double tap just a little bit wide. As on the left-hand side, GuyJ and the rest get the gold fury. Layers looks unlikely to finish off Kiki, but a 1-for-1 on the right side of the map. Great teleport by Layers. Amuel's ultimate doesn't find a home. oHhens, even with help from Kiki, won't be able to dive. And that's a clean macro play from Woogy and No Bloogys.
These Athena ults, they're iffy and they're very concerning for the rest of the game if this is the level of communication they have. Frasion moving into the red buff, able to find the stun on oBoronic as he jumps out. I imagine this fizzles.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be able to catch him from here, but a good play from Frasion to put as much damage in as he could. Unfortunately, oBoronic had a Yemoja pocket healing him right there with the Lotus Crown. That extra physical protection certainly relevant on top of the healing and the shielding done there by molluskk, as oHey do get some objective. They get the Pyromancer on that right-hand side, as the lead was dipping and then it has now come back to around that 2K mark. But honestly, 2K at 4 minutes to still be down only 2K at 12, I'd say that's kind of a win for oHey. I think that Woogy and No Bloogys certainly had potential to snowball this game far harder than this.
It really was a huge win. Keeping the lead as it was, effectively stopping the bleed, means that Layerssss isn't pulling further ahead, which is fantastic for you. He was such a threat in the early. He still absolutely is with a 2-level lead, 6 and 3 on the slash line, and now he's stacking his Transcendence as well. It's going to be hard for them to stop him from farming that if he decides to stop ganking, which it looks like he won't as he goes up in the air.
Looking for Frasion, but Frasion has that dive bomb. Good stun, but Frason's beads will get him out of danger. 2 ultimates. GuyJ seems to really like using his ultimate in conjunction with that Anvil of Dawn to good effect for sure. Very hard to be ready for that dunk when you can't see what's coming, as Kiki caught out between tier 1 and tier 2, but has that ultimate, so don't think there's any way that he ends up dying here as long as he recognizes the threat, which he does. Oboronic showing up is enough to force that ultimate, and what do you know? Maybe we could use this opportunity to gank GuyJ. Beads are still up for him, and he's well wary of what's going on. In fact, Wolves even gonna expend the teleport as Kiki may have gotten caught here, stopped his back because of GuyJ's auto attack. Layers on the rotation, gonna try and cut them off high. This is 5 people strong for oHey, and molluskk is split pushing on that right-hand side, so maybe this isn't the engagement that Woogy and No Bloogys really want.
You could take the man out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the man. molluskk getting a little bit greedy on the right side of the map, says, hey, there's no one farming this lane. Mind if I do? And he does. Doesn't get the towers. It forces out Athena's teleport, though, which is nice. Now Athena doesn't have her ultimate or teleport available. If Woogy and No Bloogys decide to shift their focus towards the duo side of the map, she has no way to get there in a timely manner.
That's one of those classic plays with Athena. You ult to the left, then teleport back right to defend your tower. Usually it's not the support that's split pushing to force it, but either way, you end up back in your proper lane. You see Frasion picking up the Devourer's Gauntlets, not the typical Bloodforge pickup for him here. Not sure if this is on the newest patch, but certainly something that I think we're going to see more of in general in those Devourer's Gauntlets. That extra sustain in certain matchups seems worth it to me. Do you think we'll still be seeing a whole lot of Bloodforge on the new patch, Myth, or do you think Devos are going to be the way to go?
Bloodforge passive is truly the reason you pick it up, but let's hold that thought as Thor finds the dunk.
Nice call. Kiki on this right-hand side in a lot of trouble. CC chain is solid, but still has that dash. Oboronic has his ultimate, but would have to dash in order to find it. Speaking of dashing in, Wolves has that on lockdown. Oboronic is the one to find the last hit, though, and that marks number 12 for Woogy and No Bloogys. This is going to be a tier 1 tower, without a doubt. Glaivus is on the way, but for now, it's only Amuel here to defend if Woogy and No Bloogys decide to push for that tier 2, as Glaivus actually decides to stop in the mid lane. So Ocean's with the dive on this left-hand side, looking for GuyJ, but Ocean's now tanking up and is going to have to jump away from that tier 1 tower. So GuyJ defends successfully, forces 2 people back, and on the right-hand side, it's going to be a tier 2 tower for Woogy and No Bloogys. In fact, GuyJ's looking for the 2v1 on this left-hand side. He just might find it. That Rising Jaguar does hit onto Oceans, and Frason's going to take a seat as well. GuyJ with the 2v1 over in the duo lane.
I understand oHey's decision-making there. They have to start to make some plays on the other side of the map, but you got to show some respect when you're at such a huge deficit, and GuyJ playing it so well to find the double. I would be utterly embarrassed if I'm Oceans and Frasion here. That's an F6 vote for sure if that's me. Luckily, these players have a little bit more mental fortitude than I do as they stick with it, but it's only a 3,500 gold deficit in favor of Woogy and No Bloogys. With the Gold Fury spawns, your 2 members are dead. This should be a favored fight around this Gold Fury.
Primal Fury down to half. It's already gone. Mythman, if only, I mean, I know 2v1, you think you're in the lead, but if only we had some way to get a third person over there quickly in order to try and help out in that engagement. If only for oHey, right? I mean, that would have been really helpful in that situation.
I mean, for the 5th time this game, we saw Kiki attempt the ultimate, but it came out as the last auto attack slammed our boy Oceans in the mouth. So Kiki lands back in place where he started the ultimate, effectively getting 0 usage out of it, not even really getting to use the defensive aura that you would get from Defender of Olympus. We need Kiki to start using these ultimates a little bit more cognizantly. Every time we've seen him use it, it's either not made it through because the enemies have already killed your allies, or he's used it defensively to escape a team fight. So far, they haven't used it as a leverage option so much as a band-aid, and not even a truly a good one.
But how about GuyJ, man? I mean, I told you, dude, this kid is a hand cannon over there in the long lane. This is the type of stuff that he's been doing to ranked players for a little bit now, and I was curious if it would happen at this level. It seems like it's working for him so far. This Xbalanque top player damage now, 3-1 for him in a very impressive performance. I think he played that 2v1 about as well as you could ask.
And he also itemized well for the 2v1. The Aussie passive came in clutch there, allowing him to sustain up through the double onslaught of attacks. I mean, this guy has shrapnel in his blood for sure. As you said, a complete hand cannon, just a grenade in the lane, and now he's a player to be respected.
Well, the Fire Giant is on Woogy and No Bloogys' mind, but they decide that maybe that's not the safest call right now. Pyromancer seems like the better option. Is Kiki gonna dash in? Doesn't find a whole lot with that taunt. It's only molluskk. Pyromancer already very low, and Woogy and No Bloogys are gonna secure it. Layers onto the back line, looking for Amuel. Kiki's ultimate on time this time around. Then Glaivus finds a pretty good ultimate of his own to zone away everyone else from Woogy and No Bloogys. Ocean's gonna get caught out, even despite a pretty good Stygian Torment, with the rest of oHey just too far back. Layers took care of that, and Woogy and No Bloogys took care of Ocean's. 1-for-0, Pyromancer on the order side, and now Woogy and No Bloogys have their pick of the litter. They pushing mid or going for fire. Looks like fire's the call.
With all the members healthy on the side of oHey, if they do decide to contest, an early game Fire Giant like this can be easily stopped. Instead, it doesn't seem like they know where it's happening. The only one really in range to spot it out is Kiki. And now, in danger, gets his dash canceled.
Beautiful wall by Layers. Frasion gonna try and come in and help out off the big taunt, but it's not gonna be enough. oBoronic finds his, what, 5th kill? Goodness, already in this contest. Frasion wants to keep it going, though. They feel like this is their best opportunity. Jumps in and executes GuyJ with that ricochet. A double kill for Frasion. The light in the darkness for oHey. 10 in total for them, as Frasion looking for a little bit more. Aegis already used, as a shell used as well. But Frasion still pushing forward, looking for oBoronic, who may have been a little bit baited. Glaivus finds one for his team, but Layers had his dunk back up, and right into the backline he goes. Double kill quickly for the jungler for Woogy and No Bloogys. And now he's trying to separate from molluskk, and molluskk just looking for a little bit of help. His ultimate comes down, that River's Rebuke, just to buy a little bit of Omi for himself, as Frasion up into the sky. Layers gonna look for him, but that double tap a little bit wide left. Good stun coming from Oceans, and Kiki has rejoined the fray, teleports in, and is gonna make an impact this time around. Beads from Layers is clutch in order to get him away from that chase, but Oceans looking for it still. No jump for him, but teleport comes in from Wolves as well. And this long engagement finally comes to a close, and it ends with only 2 members having Fire Giant and Woogy and No Bloogys.
That whole fight starts around the Pyromancer. molluskk makes a fantastic ultimate to separate the fight, forcing Oceans to get picked out and the objective to go the way of Woogies. Off the back of that, they take Fire Giant and then take a fight afterward. Weren't exactly favored there, as we lose 3 members Fire Giant buffs, but Layers still maintaining his and molluskk having his. Very important. I maintain that I think the most important member of your team to have the Fire Giant buff is either going to be the Hunter to get that objective damage onto these structures, or the support so that they can sustain up these tower shots, these Phoenix shots, as well as find the engagements under these objectives so that they can sustain it up once they leave it with the Fire Giant heal. But having it on your level 18 Thor at this point, I mean, that's absolutely huge. Anyone he dunks should be instantly dead, especially knowing that beads are down on the side of Huyi. He doesn't have any of his actives available, and now beads are down on Daji as well, as Glaivus gets picked out a little bit in the middle lane. Woogy and No Bloogys are absolutely favored in this fight. They also have 2 more towers they can go through to pick up some early gold, and then they can back up to the Oni Fury after that. I mean, the map is open up for No Bloogys, and they can just do whatever they want.
Oni Fury is what they want, at least for the moment. Ocean's gonna walk in and get stunned, so secured by Woogy and No Bloogys, and that Oni Fury is kind of perfect for them at this moment, Mifflin, because now they can use that to pressure the map, as Glaivus getting pressured on his own red buff. Good ultimate to give himself CC immunity and take him out of danger, and Layers has no bead, so he's in a little bit of danger right now whenever this happens. Ultimate comes through from Amuel as well, locking down Layers. That River's Rebuke is blocking a lot from molluskk. Good double taunt by Kiki as oBoronic sounds the drums of war. Stygian Torment never goes off. GuyJ makes sure of that as Layers takes care of Glaivus. Amuel's next on the chopping block as oBoronic finds his 6th. 21 in total for Woogy and No Bloogys, and that's a 3-for-0 quickly in favor of Woogy and No Bloogys. Now, right as the Oni waves start to march up mid lane. Perfect timing for the Order side.
I mean, oHey, they played that mechanically well. Everything they needed to do happened. Athena finds the two-man taunt, Glaivus burns off some beads with his ultimate, but with the deficit as it is, the first mistake they made was taking that fight.
molluskk taunted, and he's taking up this Phoenix, and it's not looking good for the fresh support player, but he's Yemoja. What am I worried about? He's got heals and shields on his way out. He's A-OK, and that Fire Giant sustain, as you highlighted, certainly playing a part there as mid-Phoenix falls. And now Woogy and No Bloogys are going to start to back it up. A lot of gold to spend, I'm sure, at this point. And they're looking pretty solid in this game, Mifflin. This is the way that kind of expect the game to go whenever your mid-jungle gets double killed by the Thor at level 2.
Oh, an early game Thor popping off. Couldn't imagine it. I'm glad that you point out the healing there. Take a look at oHey's builds. They only have an Ankh and a singular Divine Ruin to counter out a Yemoja heal, an Aussie lifesteal from GuyJ, as well as Wolves using his heal on Guan Yu. It's not enough anti-heal. They're able to sustain through these fights so well. Wolves getting off these 250 burst heals, as well as Yemoja getting her bouncing heal and shield. They need something to stop it. Divine Ruin's not going to be enough.
Glaivus already has to go up into that ultimate. He's been surrounded and no way out. I mean, it definitely feels like this healing has been oppressive for Woogy and No Bloogys, and Glaivus does have that Brawler's Beat Stick, but I can forgive you for missing it because it just hasn't been effective at all in this game. Contagion on Kiki also helps, but he also hasn't been particularly effective in this game, so it feels like it's only Divine that's really there to help out. But and when that's the case, you're completely right. That certainly will not be enough, as Kiki walled off by that Yemoja ult. Good damage coming from oBoronic, and molluskk is already a little bit too low. This time cannot escape with a sliver of HP. oBoronic puts out good damage with those Taiko drums, but GuyJ a little bit too far forward. Wolves actually charging in, goes, I don't like the look of this, so I'm going to turn around, but GuyJ didn't get the memo. Amuel going to put him down quickly, and the right side Phoenix stands tall. Little bit of miscommunication there by the Order side.
I mean, Wolves got the better, or the worst end of it, immediately hopping on the horse. Frasion finds 3 swift auto attacks to his chest, turns him around, as you said, and he thinks better of it. Instead, though, GuyJ falls and molluskk falls as well. It's not a death sentence at this point. oHey really can't move in towards these objectives in Fire Giant and Pyro because they're still not favored in these fights, despite it being a 5v3, as well as molluskk is already spawning. I imagine we see Woogy and No Bloogys immediately move towards this Fire Giant, probably take it uncontested, as oHey seems to be comfortable sitting under their own Phoenixes, which is really the best positioning for them, as their mid Phoenix is already dead. They're going to have fire minions loading up that lane. They just want to keep what they have alive now and just hold on out for another 10-15 minutes until these builds are equalized.
Big thing, though, is that GuyJ lost both of his relics in that moment, in that overextension on that right-hand side, so he's going to be quite vulnerable should they try and pull Fire Giant with him on the respawn pretty shortly. But still a 10k gold lead or so for Woogy and No Bloogys at this point. Is, again, apologies, we seem to be having a little bit of issue, but should be getting that sorted fairly quickly. So take a look at the builds. Full build basically for everybody on Woogy and No Bloogys. Wolves still has his blessing and still working on one last item or so for molluskk, but otherwise everyone's looking pretty healthy right now. Maida's blessing still there for oBoronic as well. But for me so far, it's been, if Frasion has a really sick fight, we're going to do just fine on oHey, but that seems like a lot of pressure to put on the Ho Yi alone.
I mean, if it's your only avenue to success, you have to put that pressure on him. The best oHey can hope to do is to really get a king defense style going on where they keep Frasion alive. We've seen that Layerssss is willing to initiate the majority of these fights off the back of his dunk. If they can shut that down, maybe kill him immediately off of it with some cognizant play, that's when it's going to open up for them. But they still have to be worried about the rest of engage from the side of Woogy and No Bloogys. Guan Yu's got decent engage, as well as the Yemoja heals is going to make it hard to shut down the Thor. I mean, it's hard to do, but they have a comp that can fight into it on the defense. Whether or not they can execute on it, we haven't seen it quite yet. Kiki needs to find some decent taunts to peel out, maybe get some of that defensive aura going from the Defender of Olympus. We just haven't seen Athena really utilized quite yet.
Yeah, I think the idea of oHey's comp is really, really solid. I think that the theory crafting behind it is quite sound. You've got tons of CC, tons of beads burners. If we hit a big Persephone ult, they all beads it, then we just have Oceans go in and find a huge Stygian Torment, and we've got Hou Yi Sunbreaker on top of that. Or Athena gets the beads, and then Glaivus pulls 3 people in, and we insta-kill those 3 with Grasp of Death. I think all of that sounds really good. It's just been an execution. It hasn't quite been there. But I think the window is getting bigger for oHey. Even though the gold lead continues to grow for Woogy and No Bloogys, in some way, itemization's still coming online for oHey. The front line is getting tankier. There's more damage there for Amuel. Has been pretty ineffective so far on that Persephone. Eventually, this is the type of team comp that can 5-for-0 you because you just didn't have beads and they chained their CC properly. So I think that there is some level of concern for Woogy and No Bloogys.
We've seen them mechanically execute it only once this game. It was about 6 minutes ago around that team fight around the back camps on their side of the map. Unfortunately, as we said, that deficit was too large, but now that it's closing up a little bit, they might be able to use it one more time. It's whether or not Woogy and No Bloogys get that clean engagement. If oHey loses one fight cleanly at this point, that's the game.
Well, now we have to take a quick break to get everything sorted, but we should be back shortly for the probably pretty quick conclusion of game number 1 in the SOC. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate your patience as we get everything sorted. Should be back in the game very, very shortly to see what happens at the conclusion of Woogy and No Bloogys up against oHey. And Mifflin, and you and I were talking during the break, it feels like this game really has not been particularly clean from Woogy and No Bloogys, just that oHey hasn't really capitalized well.
I mean, we've seen Woogy and No Bloogys play overly aggressive after every objective. It's one of my hugest pet peeves. If you've been keeping up with the scene, I've been complaining about it a lot. Once you get the objective, there's really not much to fight over because the objective's dead, right? You get Fire Giant, back up afterward. Instead, Woogy and No Bloogys pick up Fire Giant and lose 3 members immediately. We saw around the 18-minute mark, they pick up a Gold Fury, lose 2 members immediately. Yes, oHey's still losing some of their members, but it could be a lot cleaner. oHey's not optimizing very well off the mistakes. I mean, once Woogy and No Bloogys starts to walk in with these huge gold leads in their pockets, it's not truly a lead in their build. So right. That's the fight to take. That's the fight to win. oHey instead not able to quite optimize off it, even though they're taking these fights under their towers, even though they're taking these fights towards the back end of their jungle. They just haven't been able to find their own footing.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest fight that oHey's had all game was right after Woogy and No Bloogys finished Fire Giant, right, where they kill 3 members in a very, very long, 90-second long fight that was for basically no reason. If you're on the order side, it was very reasonable for the Chaos side as we tune back in. And what do you know? There's action happening quickly as it looks like Glaivus has picked himself up a double kill on the defense. Mid Phoenix has fallen, though, so Woogy and No Bloogys at least get something. They've already killed Amuel and Kiki, so it's a 3-on-3 kind of NHL overtime style. I miss sports, by the way, as we try and get this left Phoenix down, and that seems to be where Woogy and No Bloogys are heading. oBoronic has finished off his build. He finishes with a Pythags piece, an interesting pickup that did get pen this year, so he's sitting at that 40% pen threshold, plenty of flat pen, some good passives. I like oBoronic's build.
I mean, the lifesteal can't be understated as well. Pythags has the most lifesteal per singular item for mages, so it's going to be hard to focus him down as they move into this Phoenix.
Good poke on the Glaivus, or on the Oceans rather, certainly doing quite a bit as molluskk gets stunned and Frasion, easy cleanup for him. Now Glaivus goes in with help from Kiki, but oBoronic forces him back quickly with some damage. It's only the 2 frontliners here in this engagement, though. Wolves and Layers are on the way. Wolves has TP, but it's not upgraded, so he can't get there. Bit greedy to go for this purple buff, and GuyJ realizes that, especially without having his purification bead. So close, but no cigar for the left side Phoenix for Woogy and No Bloogys.
That Phoenix is so low, and the Woogy and No Bloogys are all spawning at this point, barring molluskk, who's going to be dead for about 20 seconds. I wouldn't imagine they move in without their support at this point. They might have to wait for this next Fire Giant to start getting their aggressive up. But oHey's builds, they're all full by now. The only one who's really struggling in the build is Kiki in the soul lane. Still has that Warrior's Blessing. Is trying to finish that 6-slotted item. I imagine we'll see a robe, or Mantle of Discord rather, coming out from Athena, as well as Ocean's, the level 18 Cerberus needs to sell that Guardian's Blessing as well. But those are the guys that don't really need these 6 item slots nearly as much as your carries do. So the fight potential from oHey is pretty decent. They could look to contest out this Fire Giant if they push up the mid wave, make sure that the Fire Wave is going to move in towards their Phoenix. This might be the fight they look to take. or they can continue to try and defend. But as we've seen, every single time Woogy and No Bloogys gets this Fire Giant, they're taking a little bit more away from oHey. So it's time to fully stop that bleed, maybe go for the all-for-one play on this Fire Giant, risk it all.
You would advocate for the evil man and all for one. Come on now, Miff. We already know we're one for all around here. That's the vibe we're going with on the cast. Amuel going for a defensive option in that 6th item slot. I just don't know if he's dealing enough damage at this point to really be able to afford to go defense. I know you preach it all the time. When you're behind, going more defense does basically nothing because you still get insta-killed. You really just need to kill the enemy team. Do you like Amuel going for a mantle last item?
I understand why he's doing it. He's been the target of Layer's aggression the entirety of the match. He immediately gets dunked down, and if he doesn't die, he's around 10% health afterward. So Mantle of Discord should be able to peel off Layers with that stun. But you said it before I did. My philosophy is if you are behind, you really have no right to build defense. It's not the comeback mechanic that you're looking for. And I imagine it won't be going forward. But I do understand why he went for it. We'll see how it plays out. If they can maybe kill Layers off of the stun from Mantle, that's when we see the returns. But as it's been going, oHey's been struggling hard to get the return damage onto Layers after the Anvil of Dawn.
And Layers with that full build now has Titan's Bane, so he's going to be difficult for even Kiki or Oceans to stand in front of him, as Layers going to try and force Kiki's ultimate early here in this engagement. But I feel like Kiki taking Layers for a walk is a good thing for oHey. They don't have to worry about that Anvil of Dawn nearly as much, and Kiki's even able to grab this Fire Wave to make sure that there's only one opportunity for Woogy and No Bloogys to get in here. So GuyJ drops that ultimate mid, Phoenix dies quickly, but Glaivus gonna use his ultimate as well, and inaccurate with those shots. Meanwhile, Frasion has been taken care of by Layers on the right-hand side. River's Rebuke comes down as well as Glaivus on the run. He's going to be able to get away from that Tycho drums, but it looks like Kiki might not be quite as lucky. He does manage to slip the noose, as Hindu Man would say, and get towards this fountain. He's actually going to teleport in, trying to make a play behind the entirety of Woogy and No Bloogys, but where's the follow-up going to be? They finally spot him out. He walks over a ward, and this could be a fat taunt coming around the corner. But it looks like Woogy and No Bloogys have laid the trap perfectly. Kiki gets isolated and killed, no problems at all. And now this right side Phoenix should be next. molluskk first one in. He's going to tank it up as he has all game. Oceans eats a ton of damage coming from oBoronic and Layers. Amuel going to dash away. His mantle not quite finished, but he is. GuyJ going to find his 6th, and this should be game number 1. Titan down to 50%, but Woogy and No Bloogys systematically dismantle oHey in that last team fight. They made it look easy, Mifflin.
I mean, they really did. The slash line 27-16. Coming from casting Europe last week, seeing these aggressive games, I really feel at home again. I like seeing kills in my Smite matches. I'm going to do it. I do it every week, I feel like. I hate saying it. I'm going to give my personal MVP to Layers, the jungler. Say what you will.
Wow.
I think it's indisputable that Thor really carried that match.
Wow, giving credit to the jungler. Weird. Not the 8-2 mid laner there for Oboronic or GuyJ having the 2v1 over there in the duo lane. No, it's fine. It's fine. Layers certainly deserving of an MVP. 12-4 for him, an impressive performance on that Thor, but that's kind of what you need from your Thor whenever he gets the first 2 kills of the game just a few minutes in. Big damage difference in the jungle. Less than 10k for Glaivus. Dodgy, certainly not an early game character, really a late game assassin, but they got to late game even though they were behind. Probably need a little bit more out of that Dodgy there than 9k damage.
She didn't even truly do her objective of burning beads. We maybe saw one good ultimate from Dodgy there, but it wasn't enough. I would like to see Glaivus, and I've seen him do it in ranked constantly. He plays these early game aggression gods. I imagine we might see a shift towards the Hun bots, Glaivus' signature character. Fear No Evil filling a similar role as Dodgy would with a Palau, but a little bit better, if you would. I'm a huge fan of Hun bots as he is. I need Glaivus to do more in the early. If you can't match that early aggression from Thor, you need to farm up into the late, but instead, every time Thor dunked in the early game, Glaivus was hot on his heels, taking the re-engagement, and he can't match the pressure, he can't match the fight, so don't take the fight, farm up for the late, play for when you're good, and not trying to combat Thor at his own pace.
We'll see what adjustments oHey make as we move into Game 2 shortly. We'll be right back with Game 2. Welcome back, everybody, as we get prepared for game number 2 after a pretty convincing Woogy and No Bloogys victory. No, Woogy and No Bloogys. I'm going to request that they change their name. I'm sick of this already. We've only done one game, Mifflin, and I'm done with it already. We've already got one of those names in the SEC. Aggro joined, of course, by Mifflin. Miff, you mentioned Glaivus on a different pick. I think I also want to see Kiki on something a little bit different. I know that Athena was one of his signature picks in the solo lane in the SPL, but it looks a little bit rusty. Maybe we try our hand at something else.
I mean, Kiki has always been against the grain in his solo lane picks. We might see him shift towards Loki. We might see him shift towards Aphrodite. We might even see him pick up the Arachne. Notice how I'm not saying any meta picks or even particularly good picks. It's because that's what Kiki's MO has been since literally closed alpha day 1. Kiki's been playing these weird, strange characters that might work simply because people don't have matchup knowledge against it. But against a player that's around Wolves caliber, this guy is absolutely insane. I've been playing against him for a long time. He comes from the console. He shifted towards PC around a year and a half ago, and he's been seeing moderate success there as well. And not only just moderate because he's not that great, he just hasn't been able to find a team that's been able to elevate to his playstyle. I think Wolves is truly one of the best players in the world.
Dude's a beast, no doubt about it. Hun Bats, banned by Woogy and the Bloogys, or No Bloogys. Good lord. You said you wanted to see Glaivus on this pick. I think that Woogy decide effectively they don't want to let that through, but look at oHey's bans. Thor and Xbalanque, 2 picks that were critical for the enemy side last game. They banned those away, and they first picked the Odin. This is Wolf's signature god, but it's also a signature god for Kiki, another pick that he loved in that solo lane. I imagine that this is going to go over to solo lane for him.
I mean, Kiki's got this aversion of playing good characters. Maybe he just won't play Odin now that he's actually meta. So we might even see it shift towards the jungle just knowing this guy. But as I meme around, Pele gets picked up for the side of oHey. So, you know, that's probably going to be the jungler.
And then Hachiman there in that long lane. Frasion had a really solid game. Felt like he was the one kind of holding oHey in that game. Hachiman's the type of god that can push leads pretty well, can stay safe. But Jing was open, that's what I was just about to say, and Jing is locked in pretty quickly here this time around for GuyJ. After the performance he had last game, it's hard to give him something like Jing that's such a high priority.
It's so high priority, as well as we said, it's one of the safest picks in the game. So if he does just passive farm till late, he'll be able to afford that option. And Hachiman, one of the few guys that fights relatively well into Jing if she uses her ultimate airstrike to escape. Hachiman can just hop on his horse, chase it down, find the slow afterwards. So if oHey finds the early lead in the duo, Hachiman should be able to pop off. And Hachiman can play safe. Not quite as safe as Jing as he's only got a standard dash as well as his CC immune ultimate to escape, but safe nonetheless. My eyes are towards this Persephone on the side of Woogy No Bloogys, who I'm going to, from here on out, call Squadron Molluskk, or the GuyJ Squadron, as he has been shown to be an absolute hand cannon, as you said earlier. Persephone, so dominant in lane, able to deal so much damage from a range, you can't really match her, as well as the across-the-map CC from her ultimate. Any sort of jungle gank will be immediately followed up, regardless of Persephone's positioning herself. We didn't get to see it pop off that hard last game because Thor did a good job of just putting out constant pressure in the middle lane, but that shouldn't happen this match.
Jorm locked in there for Wolves, almost certainly. This is a pick that he played a lot of last year in the console scene. Jorm did not see a whole lot of nerfs coming into this year. He was the priority solo laner last year. Surprised that we've seen so little of him, honestly. I think that Wolves is on the right track here for sure in locking this one in. Is Cabrakan and Aphrodite are being hovered. And you mentioned Afro as a Kiki special, but feels like, I mean, this is on the old patch. I'm almost positive, so it is not the newly buffed Aphrodite. I think newly buffed Afro is really good. I don't know about picking it here, though, before that update goes through for these players. Still being thought about, though, by oHey. Would give the all-in potential to Pele quite strong. Already all-ins pretty well. Cabrakan, Odin, those are guys that want to be in the teeth of the enemy team. And it is locked in here for oHey. I imagine this is going to be for Amuel in that mid lane. I don't know. I think it's a couple days too early. This is before the patch for those players. Just think it's a little bit too early. I think Afro's really good right now, but not before the change.
It feels bad, man, when you predict the Afro pick and it doesn't go towards the guy you're actually predicted on in the Kiki. Instead, it does go to Amuel, as you said, and Kiki's going to go ahead and take that Cabrakan into the solo lane. One of his picks as well, a highly aggressive god, going to be able to match some of that aggression from Jormungandr. One of the few gods whose CC isn't truly affected by Jormungandr's passive. He's going to be able to find those stuns regardless. But I'm not sure about that matchup. Jorm should have the clear. He should have the damage as well. He's got the safety in his ultimate. I mean, Cabrakan might just get outclassed across the board in every regard.
Yeah, the big thing in this matchup is that the walls are really good against Wolves, but not that great because he can break them really quickly with the auto attacks. But Tremors procs that passive for Jorm that makes him take extra damage, and that's really relevant. But still, man, I don't know. Feels like that should have just been Odin for Kiki and not for Oceans. But as you said, he wants to play these different styles of gods. This is what he'd prefer to play. So you gotta give him what he wants in that aspect, I suppose. As it was attempted invade by molluskk, that does not go his way as expected because of the hand of the gods. And it looks like he's just gonna harass this right side as Oceans is actually rotated over to the left and steals away the minis from oBoronic, who again has gone for this purple boot start. Got a quick pause coming through. Bear with us as we work everything out. But this composition, I mean, felt like it was going to be pretty cut and dry. Give Odin over to Kiki, let him do his normal stuff on the Odin, but maybe they feel like they can get solo kills onto the Jorm, or even just a little bit of extra help for Kiki should get kills onto Wolves because of those Tremors.
I mean, it should have been cut and dry. Yes, Odin solo better every step of the way than Cabrakan could be, but for my money, Kiki's concern isn't winning the game. It's looking cool doing whatever he's doing, be it winning or losing, and he's gonna do that, hopefully, insofar as he doesn't get completely bopped out in this lane. Cabrakan is a decent gank potential for the enemy jungler as well, as Jormungandr isn't, so you're not going to have that much jungle support for yourself. No one wants to gank Jormungandr. He's got World Serpent to escape out. He's got a stealth, so if he thinks someone's coming, he just vanishes into thin air. I mean, you can't even really truly CC him with any displacement. Jormungandr is a jungler's worst nightmare in solo lane, especially coming from my era, which was around Season 4, which was, I'm just going to stick my jungler in solo lane and hang out there. Back then, once Jormungandr was there, it changed the gameplay for me completely. I wouldn't go over. I don't want to be there. My solo laners would always suffer because they're having to deal with a 2v1 while I'm off doing nothing in the jungle. It's going to be hard for Cabrakan to find his footing here.
It's going to be tough, but Kiki, you think, has the pedigree to do it, though. Last game certainly looked like he was a little bit rusty so far. I'm looking at Amuel in this mid lane, man, and how well he's going to do on this Aphrodite. I mean, Afro's so good with something like the Pele. You can just pocket heal her. She's going to be able to get in there and get all in. But again, to highlight, this is before the buff to Aphrodite, so her clear isn't nearly as good as it is right now. She's basically missing that extra tick that it's not only an extra tick, but it also makes it a lot easier for lovebirds to land. So it basically is adding that ability into the kit as far as a damage option, which is pretty crazy. So it looks like molluskk is on this right-hand side still as we come back. And Kiki has been forced off his blue buff. Layerssss trying to get that. Feel like Layerssss is going to have a tough time maybe up against this Afro. All in usually is where Afro excels, and Bastet kind of has to go all in if she wants to be effective.
She does, but you want to all in closer towards that level 7 mark. Bastet, especially after this rework, she needs that ultimate to find the kill potential in herself. Yes, she's got some new CC. Moss finding some early aggression on the Glaivus. 3 stacked on him. Might die to the bleed, but instead oBoronic finds it with a snipe. And that's what Pele does. That long-range poke also is a long-range kill confirm. That's first blood for Woogy No Bloogys.
Good accuracy by oBoronic on an ability that I think a lot of people struggle with is molluskk takes a tower shot that he probably didn't want to, courtesy of Amuel's back off. And there's the power of that purple boot start as Ocean's going to blink in. No jumps up for molluskk and an easy kill for oHey. Good use of that blink by Oceans, and there's where the Odin looks pretty solid in the support role, is that it's still dealing damage at this point in the game. You're not losing damage by having Odin slotted in with that Guardian's Blessing at this point. He's still doing Odin level damage.
and he will continue to do so until someone gets some defense online. It's around that second or third item where Odin's support really shifts towards being an actual support. At this point, he is a secondary jungler, which is reflected in his playstyle. You don't often see the support rotating out around this level, as well as the start that they had, where he started on those mid camps and then met his ADC around the Harpies, for the Oracles rather, to get that vision and XP. Yes, it did slow down his farm, but it should put ahead the Frasion on Hachiman. I mean, we see the XP deficit is about even. molluskk matched that level of not showing up in duo by actually being in the soul lane at level 1.
molluskk in trouble once again. Has to start to jump away, but decides to go with that knock up instead. Probably had his jump down, and molluskk again punished quickly in that mid lane. Another blink catches him out. That time it was Glaivus who blinked in. molluskk off to a bit of a rough start on the Xing Chen.
If I'm oBoronic at this point, maybe you can echo this sentiment with your mid lane history. I'm saying to molluskk, hey man, maybe just don't show up in my lane anymore if you're just going to die every time. And it's probably a good call. molluskk, level 2, 4 minutes into the game, just about 2 levels down on the enemy support on the Odin. He needs to back up and farm. Instead, shows up in mid lane one more time.
Yeah, that is not what I want to see, for sure, as a mid laner. There's no doubt about that. I do not want to deal with the Aphrodite, especially getting ahead 1-0-1 already for Amuel, as we have another brief pause. Apologies for that. I mean, Aphrodite is the goddess that can run away with games very, very quickly, but I do think that the anti-heal application for Woogy and No Bloogys is pretty solid. Layers is great with Brawler's Beatstick because that dot will stay on for a long, long time. molluskk can be in the middle of the team fight. He can end up getting a Contagion or a Pestilence and be pretty healthy at the same time. oBoronic can go Divine. Even Wolves, we've seen Jormungandrs go with that sort of bruiser style. They want a damage option or two. Wolves can get Divine. I think that Glaivus is also affected by that anti-heal, so having 2 of your characters get taken out, not entirely, but certainly weakened by the anti-heal that Woogy and No Bloogys are definitely going to build, will hurt oHey.
We can only hope they choose to build it truthfully, but they do have these fantastic targets to apply anti-heal. My eyes as well is on Odin, how well they can really synergize off this cage. I mean, once Odin drops this cage, what are they really throwing into it? Maybe a Hachiman ult? I mean, Aphrodite doesn't have follow-up on that huge form of CC. I mean, Pele isn't truly trying to get herself involved in the middle of a team fight through jumping into a cage. And Kiki, what's he going to do? Just tremor for a little bit? I like the Odin pick, but I only like him insofar as he is a piece of a composition, and looking at oHey's comp, it doesn't synergize very well.
I agree with you there, no doubt. I think the big thing is that you're just going to use Aphrodite back off as Layers going to dive onto this tower. Wolves tanked it up for a little bit and then traded it off perfectly using that untargetability of the ultimate to make sure that nobody dies except for the one they wanted. It's Kiki who dies underneath that tower. So that right side is favored Woogy and No Bloogys all day so far today, and it continues now. Blink Cage coming in from Oceans, and oBoronic gonna exit out the back, but Glaivus was waiting for him. Got his ultimate off, and now Oceans gonna get picked up. Glaivus as well into that tower. Here comes Layers. He's already claimed 1. molluskk sets him up perfectly for the double kill, and Frasion is here actually gonna dash in to that tower, but ends up not taking too much damage from it. GuyJ gonna rejoin as molluskk blinks in. Beautiful CC by him. GuyJ needs 1 more auto, and he finds it underneath that tower perfectly. Amuel getting lower, forced to use his ultimate, and I don't think he was linked to Frasion to ult him earlier on. A good rotation in from both ADCs, but GuyJ comes out on top.
We saw a bit of a funny moment in that fight. Glaivus tries to avoid the Xing Shen ultimate by using his own ultimate towards the enemy tower. Instead, takes an early tower shot just for ulting into the tower and then gets thrown in anyway. Had Glaivus used his ultimate a little bit better there, oHey would have been favored in that fight as they got the early upper hand. Instead, your jungler dies almost exclusively to tower off the back of molluskk's ultimate, and then you're down on the back foot as you're positioned towards the enemy tower trying to peel out for the rest of your team. Everyone just falls on the side of oHey instead. It was not a clean fight from either side, but at the tail end of it, Woogy No Bloogys comes out 1,000 gold up.
Perfect setup by molluskk that time as well. The first 2 deaths in mid, unnecessary for sure, but making up for it a little bit. That's the okay. You can stay in mid now. You've done your job. You've gotten us a couple kills. and he did so nicely. So molluskk redeems himself pretty quickly, but no Thebes for either of these supports early on. Looks like molluskk is heading towards an early contagion would be my guess, to try and get that anti-heal up early. Which I do like in this situation, is he's going to find a couple, but Amuel's ultimate is going to be a little bit better. molluskk jumps out, but of course that spear is going to follow him. Oceans can't quite finish it off, but Layerssss can do the opposite. That's 4 kills now for Layerssss. He has that ultimate primed and ready, but just going to dump some damage into Frasion and back it up. With that early couple kills that Layerssss got, he's already finished off his Brawler's beat stick. So this Bastet is swinging early.
And it's not often that you see Bastet popping off this hard in the early game. 4 kills in about twice as many minutes, 8 minutes into the game. He's got over 50% kill participation, 100% actually. Man, I love junglers, man. Layerssss is doing a fantastic job of applying his pressure, and it's pressure that he doesn't truthfully have at this point. You really start to see him start to pop off once he gets some of that CDR online. Bastet, traditionally a god that wants to get towards that mid to late game, especially now that he's got so much damage outside in his ultimate. But Wolves getting aggressed on, trying to move into that blue buff, gets picked out early by Kiki, and Layerssss decides that it's not the fight that he wants.
So close. I like the idea from Wolves. Oh, I've got my ultimate, I'll be A-okay, but his Vision Shard was already on cooldown. Couldn't see the massive rotation coming from oHey his way. I will say that Afro pretty good against Yorm as well, in theory, unmissable with the kiss. You can't miss stunning him. And then the back off, sometimes back off hurts you more than it helps you by creating distance on characters you don't want to get away from you. But that won't displace the Yorm, it'll just slow him even more and make him take more damage. And we saw it right there. Amuel's playing well so far, 1-0 and 3 for him on this Aphrodite, but he's going something that's slightly different now with this do more build. Not usually what you see. molluskk is going to blink in, look for Glaivus, and he's going to find him right back into Layerssss' waiting arms. But Cage is there as well, but where did Glaivus go? Oboronic insta-kills the enemy jungler. Amuel had his ultimate, just didn't expect that much damage coming through that quickly.
Oboronic's been able to find these high priority targets time and time again in these team fights, opening up the map for their team to move towards this gold free. It's already around 50%. The only one on the side of oHey that can move in is the Hachiman. Instead, he doesn't spot it out, gets his own purple buff, but loses the global objective. What was a 1,000 gold lead in favor of Woogy is now looking at 2.5 to 3,000.
Good objective secure on the back end of that. GuyJ has a 2-level lead over here in this duo lane. I don't know how that happened necessarily, but I guess that's the power of Jing Wei, right? I mean, you just constantly keep your back camps on cooldown by, as soon as they're about to come up, I back, I buy, I fly right back to the back camps, and then I'm in lane. Plenty healthy as Frasion tries to slow down GuyJ. I don't even know that ultimate landed. Still forces GuyJ's ult with help from Glaivus, but he's A-okay. Clearly he's comfortable in the 2v1 scenarios. We saw that in game number 1.
And he's dealing a lot of damage at this point. He's already got the Blood Forge online, Ninja Tabby as well. That's a ton of power that it's not going to be on the side of Hachiman, as he still needs to stack up those Devo's gloves. So looking over towards ganking GuyJ might not be the best timing for that, as he is leagues ahead in damage on top of your ADC.
Blood Forge certainly does that for you. Really, really good power spike in that long lane. Again, we are before the patch, so things like the Mage's Blessing and the Doom or the Devourer's Gauntlets and the Aphrodite are not quite buffed yet, but still seeing them kind of in force in this game. Maybe we'll see even more once we get to the point where those are buffed. So Woogy and No Bloogys are up about 3,000 gold at this point. Wolves gone towards that Void Stone. Plenty of damage for him now on that Yorm. Another red buff goes Woogy and No Bloogys' way. They're kind of just walking wherever they want, Miff.
Interesting to point out Yorm's build. He went for the Shoes of Focus, or Magi rather, that additional power and lifesteal onto the Jormungandr. I'm not sure I completely agree with that. I would have preferred to see the cooldown, but with that additional power, any sort of gank that moves over there is going to be a lot higher. It's going to synergize well with the passive from Voidstone, so his ultimate should be chunking at this point incredibly hard. I imagine it means he's looking for some early kill potential onto this Cabrakan. We've already seen him look for all these engagements on top of the enemy blue buff, as well as in the enemy jungle and under the enemy tower as well. So if he continues up this pace, it should make up for the fact that he doesn't have any CDR.
At this point, I think that it's safe to say that he will. He's been pretty safe over there since that blue buff invade gone wrong. molluskk in a little bit of trouble though on this right-hand side. He's taking a lot of damage quickly, and that cage should be enough to finish him off, but it isn't. Oceans can't quite find the kill. Layerssss already knocked down Glaivus, and here comes Frasion. He's gonna knock down oBoronic. Clutch that Persephone ends up falling in this team fight, but Frasion might be following that World Serpent ultimate. Wolves can't quite find a landing spot. That's a great spot to hide up against the Yorm, and Kiki has punished Layerssss for stepping up. A shutdown kill for Kiki. Can't find that ultimate on the stealth Yorm, but still a 2-for-1 in oHey's favor onto the two most fed members. Well, maybe not quite, because GuyJ's level 14, but Layerssss at 5-0 before that engagement. Those are two big kills.
Can't even downplay Wolves' juke on the Cabrakan ultimate there. I mean, that was just pure game sense to avoid getting knocked out of his stealth and caged in. The fight continues around the fire giant. It's actually pulled.
Woo! GuyJ ends up airstriking out just on time, and Kiki has been left in a bad spot. I don't know if that Furious Roar is going to finish him off, and Glaivus has come back with a vengeance, but he can't quite kill molluskk. A lot of low health bars getting away, but Wolves won't be one of them. Oceans finds a second kill as GuyJ now has to use the Aegis. Gonna try and buy himself some space, but Glaivus finds him as well. A huge fight for oHey, and this is the type of engagement they want to take. It's all long fights centered around their healing around the Afro.
And they close that 3K gold gap to now around a 1,000 gold gap. Now going to pick up a tower as well. But there's a 2-stack from Woogy No Bloogys on the duo side of the map. They could move in towards this tower. Seems like Kiki's spotted it out and won't let it go down without a fight.
Don't think he's going to be able to do a whole lot, but with molluskk backing, that should be enough. In 2v1, I didn't like his odds, but in this case, should be a-okay. It was contagion for molluskk, so he's got good physical defense and some anti-heal. I imagine he's going to go for that cursed Ankh, because Wolves has not. Wolves has gone with a Thorns pickup in this game as Glaivus uses his ultimate. Layerssss going to blink and jump away and eat a whole lot of damage on the back end. Kiki forces his beads, but a good ultimate from Persephone. Glaivus locked in, but Amuel gets there right on time, but he can only choose one, and he chooses the jungler. Kiki gonna fall for the second time this game, but Amuel at least is able to save Glaivus' life.
That's the age-old example of the one play I hate. oHey pick up the Pyromancer, they get the tier 1 tower, they take the team fight, but they don't back to spend their gold, instead continuing their aggression around the enemy red buff, and now they or Kiki rather, loses his life for it, and the gold fury off of it.
Just don't reset in time. I think overstaying has been a problem for both teams so far, but it certainly shows up in a big way right there. Frasion, no idea that molluskk is here. molluskk trying to play the dash, but he'll get stunned by the dash instead. molluskk gonna tank up this tower for GuyJ for a little bit, but eventually has to drop it. Here comes Oceans. Is Frasion gonna stop the back? molluskk pretty low, and that cage will not be enough right away, but with the stun, molluskk is gonna fall. Nice accuracy from Oceans. And now GuyJ is caught in an awkward position. Still has his airstrike, so he should be fine. This is a 4-man grouping on this left-hand side. Blink from Glaivus seals that airstrike usage. And there should be a tier 1 tower on the left.
They know Jormungandr's in the soul lane. They know Persephone's in mid. It's going to be an easy tier 1 tower. And if they don't send anyone Woogy No Bloogys, they could also move in towards this tier 2. The only one in position right now to defend is Jing and Bastet. Actives are available from Persephone as well. Once she gets there, it should be an easy defense as long as they do get there in time. Persephone finds 3.
But it's going to get broken pretty quickly. Frasion, with good attention to detail, is going to knock down that grasp of death. Wolves going to surge forward. Amuel's beads already on cooldown, but he still has that ultimate. World Serpent comes through and is going to do a lot of damage towards Glaivus and Amuel. Amuel still has that Undying Love, being very, very patient with that ult, waiting for the last second. Finally, will use it right as Glaivus goes in, and Glaivus gonna find at least one. oBoronic falls with relics up. Can't use him in time, but he's still gonna be able to assist on this team fight. Frasion uses the beads, and oBoronic's still gonna find him in that passive form. Nothing that Frasion could have done there. Oceans will answer back. molluskk finds his 4th death, but Layerssss now blinking in. Good stun coming onto Layerssss, but the tower won't be enough, but the Lovebirds will. Ocean still survives and still standing strong, but GuyJ gonna dash in now. He finds the blood shield off Amuel, and now this tier 2 tower looks likely to fall until Kiki has his teleport. This one has been a seesaw from minute 1, back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's 12 kills apiece.
It seems like either team's going to pick up their 1-kill lead in that team fight and then back off, and then the other team moves in aggressively because they're like, I don't want to get the worst end of this fight, so let's continue it. And it turns out Woogy No Bloogys chases oHey all the way back to their tier 2 tower. Meanwhile, they were losing or taking even that fight 5 versus 4. Kiki the entire time just pushing up that soul lane. He got about 3 waves to himself. That's a ton of farm. TP's in, stops the aggression, and it fizzles out towards even. oHey only 1,000 gold down now at this point. No objectives truly on the map that are going to be easy to clear out outside of the mid-tier ones for both teams. Pyromancer spawning soon. We might see them slow down now, start to farm up as no neutral objective is available, or they'll continue to do what they've been doing, which is unbridled aggression with no clear purpose.
Interesting build for Glaivus. Looked like he was going to start going towards either a Hydra's or a Heartseeker, and then decided he needed a little bit more damage, but not so badly that he'd sell the Morningstar, so starts working towards a Shifter Shield. molluskk blinks in, gets the Aphrodite ultimate in exchange for his own, and Woogy and No Bloogys seem okay with that agreement, so they'll back up. But that ultimate will be up sooner rather than later. Amuel with 30% CDR. It's not going to be long where he doesn't have that ult.
Picking it out is important, but it's only important insofar as Woogy No Bloogys can find some aggression onto him now that the ultimate's down. Instead, it looks like oHey is going to continue their own aggression, and they're not able to find any sort of spearhead towards them. Bastet using her ult in the back on Amuel.
He gets his solid, and Layerssss is already up down with that pounce. He's in a lot of trouble, and he's going to fall to Kiki's Tremors. Wolves comes crashing in over the top, looking for Amuel again. That ultimate still down for the moment, but Amuel far enough back that he's a-okay. Ankh was used there by molluskk, but Amuel bought enough space with the damage. And Layerssss maybe bit off a little bit too much. A 1 for 0 in favor of oHey, and these low health bars don't matter much when you have the Aphrodite.
It doesn't seem like Layerssss is comfortable right now on the Bastet. Yes, he had a good early game, but he started out, what was it, 4-0? Now he's 5-3. Fire Giant pulled for the side of oHey. Wolves spots it out in the back, finds himself in the middle of all of them. molluskk the only one there as well. Kiki's got 2 zones. It's going to be a hard fight.
molluskk gonna use his ultimate, and Glaivus doesn't care too much about that. Fire Giant still getting lower, and Woogy and No Bloogys just couldn't decide. A little bit of decision paralysis by the Chaos side. Fire Giant goes oHey's away. This composition, these sustained comps, they typically give teams trouble if they aren't super well equipped to deal with them. And the anti-heal's there enforced by Woogy and No Bloogys, but simply buying the items doesn't seem to be enough. The play style, very, very critical to beating these sustained comps, and I think a lot of teams struggle with that at this level.
It's hard. Once these gods, they do have the sustains, they have it in the fight, as well as it seems like at this level of play, they don't understand teams that these healers are doubly as potent outside of combat. The second combat ends, if there's a slight fizzle in these team fights, the team with the healer is going to heal their squad up, whereas the other one doesn't have it. And anti-heal doesn't apply from a range. You need to be constantly fighting to stop that healing from happening. If you are going to engage in a comp that is focused around a healer, you have to all in. If you fizzle out a fight and get a 0 for 0 trade, the team with the healer is going to come out ahead every single time.
And that's been the case so far for oHey, who need to go back and spend some of this gold. 2,500 for Amuel, 2K for Kiki. Amuel's going to be able to buy nearly a full item, and it's going to be Rod of Asclepius, upping that healing, kind of getting it out of that anti-heal range. I like this pickup quite a bit. Also some health and some movement speed, good power on this item. Pretty core on Aphrodite. You're going to see this almost every time you see the god in the game. But this seems like a pretty good, it's really good to just buy it outright, where you get, okay, this is my healing output, the enemy team knows my healing output, and then you get this big burst of it and some survivability at the same time. That's usually where it becomes pretty hard to deal with.
And as you said, it is a good way to combat some of that anti-heal, get a little bit of your healing back inside those fights. So not only is Amuel a fantastic out-of-combat healer, but now he's dealing a little bit more once the fight actually begins. With this Fire Giant, oHey's got a hard time moving in. Glaivus isn't a fantastic diver at this point. Every time he's gone in, he's been forced out immediately. So on these defenses, once they do get to the Phoenix, it's going to be hard for them to find their footing against the defensive capability of Persephone with her huge CC ability ultimate, with molluskk being a giant washing machine that you can't really ignore. GuyJ as well has this safety from Jingwei that's going to be hard for Persephone to find. If she moves in to blink for the knockup, Jingwei can just dash out of it. It's going to be difficult. Eyes are on Oceans to find a decent cage on these engages, or on Kiki to find, similarly, a decent cage on these engages.
A lot of power spike items, though, completed for the Chaos side. I mean, Charon's coin done for Boronic since the last fight. That's 20% pen. Heartseeker for Layers. Chin size for GuyJ. They've gotten a lot of key items. We'll see if it makes a difference. The tier 2 tower pretty low, so maybe Woogy and No Bloogys don't want to full-on commit, but molluskk ends up eating a lot of damage very, very quickly. Oceans jumps in, and he eats damage as well. Grasp of Death lands on a 3. No one is really close enough for it to matter. Left side tower falls, and this is exactly what we're talking about, Mifflin. All that damage doesn't matter between Fire Giant and Aphrodite. That's a lot of poke that Woogy and No Bloogys put in. Layers ulted, Boronic ulted, and you couldn't tell by oHey's situation. They lost Shell, and that's about it.
All full health, full mana, but Glaivus getting a little bit overly aggressive, forces out the Aphrodite ultimate. Not quite safe, but returns the kill onto molluskk.
molluskk, not a jungler anymore, my friend. He goes in thinking that he can find the kill, but not enough damage, not even close to Glaivus falling in that situation, even though he did get picked out a little bit. Kiki zoning effectively, though, eating a good amount of damage. Wolves gets caged, and he doesn't care. Yorm pretty good against these types of cages. Now Odin in that same department where auto attacks break it. Yorm the best at breaking things based on auto attacks because he just spits them down really, really quickly. Kiki goes in, Oceans as well. No ult for either one. Frasion the only one with an ult on the side of oHey, and Boronic is getting absolutely shredded, but he survives with a sliver of HP. Frasion didn't use the ultimate in order to finish him off, though Boronic did have his relics at the time. Frasion getting a little bit low. molluskk is back up on respawn. He's going to try and find an ultimate that doesn't do a whole lot, but here comes Grasp of Death. That's a good one. Undying Love is going to be a little bit better, but Frasion still on the run. Aegis saves his life, and now a heal coming through from Amuel is going to be enough to keep him up and healthy. Kiki might have been a little bit too isolated. I don't know that anyone's going to be able to catch him. He's going to start the teleport in order to get away, and he will do just that. So no mid-Phoenix for oHey, but they don't lose anybody either.
That was a smart play from Kiki. The only thing able to stop a teleport is a form of hard CC. Unfortunately, Bastet wasn't able to bring it. She found the cat toss, but it wasn't quite enough, and he gets out alive with his life. Fantastic defense from Woogy and No Bloogys. They are a little bit lucky that Fire Giant wore off as they were moving in towards that Phoenix. Lots of autos were sunk by Frasion into it, but it just wasn't able to find the damage. molluskk did a fantastic job of blocking auto attacks. Thrice that fight, he returned to Fountain after blocking a ton of auto attacks from the Hachiman, and just wasn't quite enough to find the Phoenix. Now that Fire Giant's available, it is still a relatively even game. Yes, there is a 7,000 gold deficit in favor of oHey, but at this point, team fights can go either way.
molluskk looking for more aggression onto the Aphrodite. He's already blinked in, but Kiki's zoning everybody else away. Wolves gonna try and keep that backline disrupted to get molluskk out. He does just that, but Oceans has already dropped the cage. Layers very low, and he's gonna have to back it up, as is Frasion, but Boronic is gonna fall. His Aegis never went off, and he's gonna end up falling quickly, but still can use that ultimate in order to get some sort of value, but it's not a whole lot at this point. Frasion low and Wolves hunting. The Wolves should really be careful here. No ultimate for him. I mean, he's a sitting snake. He's actually going to slam that back. And this will be the second Fire Giant for oHey.
We've seen that Woogy No Bloogys has the ability to defend, but oHey's progressively getting the better hand of every single one of these fights. Now that Glaivus is full build as well as level 20, he's going to have an easier time moving in onto these dives. It's going to be harder for anyone to really survive him. He's going to have the ability to 1v1 just about anybody on the side of Woogy No Bloogys if they decide to split up this push, as well as now he is a very good target of Amuel's heals. Once the Undying Love comes through, it's going to be incredibly hard to peel off this Pele. Wolves on the backside.
Looking for Frasion, and he's going to put him down to about half HP, even lower than that. But Oceans is going to kill one. He found molluskk in the back line. That's 6 deaths in the tally for molluskk. Wolves in trouble. Double kill for Oceans. Kiki going to take care of Boronic, and Wolves going to fall as well. Game 2 is going to go the way of oHey on the back of Amuel's Aphrodite.
Let's not count him out just yet. My boy Layers, the jungler, is still alive. Instead, watching out for his KD, just sitting in that fountain, not really even trying to defend that Titan. And as you said, now the set stands 1-for-1.
a game that you think is going to go very well for Woogy and No Bloogys. That Layers gets off to a good lead. GuyJ has a big farm lead. OBoronic's in a good spot. But a couple fights go poorly, and that's what healer comps do to you. You can't really give them an inch because they'll take a mile. It only took 1 or 2 team fights for oHey to really run away with this one.
Yeah, had you told me my 4-0 Bastet wasn't going to immediately win me the game at 8 minutes, I wouldn't believe you. And then if you had further told me that it was Layers, a player that we know is able to snowball games, we saw it in Game 1, that he wasn't able to transition that into a solid mid-game, I wouldn't believe you. But oHey, every step of the way, they were on the back foot for the entirety of the match, just using Amuel's heals to maintain their defensive positioning under their own towers, and eventually No Bloogys just gets a little bit overly aggressive, and oHey takes huge opportunities from it, picking up the Fire Giant as well as every tower on the map off the first initial Fire Giant, completely closing and then increasing a lead in their favor. And from there, No Bloogys never really found their footing again.
Look at that damage, man. I mean, you've gotten way more damage on No Bloogys' side, but the 21,000 healing from Amuel, certainly key. Got to give a lot of credit to the front line from oHey there as well. Kiki and Oceans had really good games. Kiki bounces back after a really, really tough Game 1 and looks much, much better here in Game 2. Glaivus still a little bit low on the player damage numbers, but we can bump those numbers up as we go. The big key for me is that Kiki turns around and has a much, much better game on this Cabrakan. Even on that right side Phoenix Siege to end the game, I mean, it was really just the front line, Oceans and Kiki, who won the game. They killed basically everybody themselves.
And Oceans had a fantastic set as well. If you watch the match, he got the early kills in middle lane off the back onto molluskk. That was him twice in a row soloing molluskk essentially to get them what was the only shining light in their early game. Here we see him killing molluskk again. I wasn't even talking about this one. That's the 3rd time Oceans picks him up. I mean, Odin is a very oppressive character, but we don't often see him played this way, especially in support with a team that doesn't have any synergies with his ultimate. But it doesn't matter. Ocean's doing a fantastic job.
Great game from him. Kiki as well. Those 2 frontliners played very, very well. Frasion did solid on the Hachiman. That was a good team effort from oHey, and we'll see if that can continue as we get ready for Game 3. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Smite fans. We get ready for the conclusion of the Smite Open Circuit this week in the North America Finals. Aggro joined by Mifflin. And Mifflin, I thought we might have a pretty quick day today after game number 1. Woogy and No Bloogys, or Woogy and No Bloogys, just dominated in game number 1. But oHey turn it around and win a faster, honestly, game number 2. I imagine that the adjustment will be pretty easy, though, for Woogy and No Bloogys. Let's just ban the Aphrodite, and maybe we pick Odin, and then we're good.
Maybe get that early game lead. Don't throw it afterward as well. Maybe clear out an objective. Sure. Don't take the team fight afterward. Maybe spend that gold that you just acquired that's in your pocket. Turn it into an item that gives you power, maybe. That should be the adjustment Woogy No Woogy takes. Yes, oHey did win that game. Yes, they did win it a little bit more quickly than Woogy did, but you can't say that it was a dominant game for them. It was a comeback, and that's exactly what it was. If Woogy continues to steamroll these early games, they are in the driver's seat. It's on them to throw the match. oHey can't keep banking on mistakes from the enemies. They need to start finding their own footing.
Agreed. It cannot afford to hope that Woogy and No Bloogys continue to make some mistakes in that early to mid game. As now, Woogy in that first pick slot once again. I think that does set them up nicely to ban away some of these throwaway ban gods that you don't want to let the other team have. Things like that Aphrodite, like that Hun Bats, and that's exactly what it is. It's an Aphrodite ban for Woogy and No Bloogys.
Makes sense to me. Aphrodite was truly the defining factor of oHey's comp last game. If you don't want to pick it yourself, you don't have an Aphrodite specialist, if you would, don't have one of those standard e-girls on your roster, can't really field the Aphrodite. Instead, Woogy gets the signature, what I assume to be the 2nd best jungler this season as of right now, Hun Bots. So much damage potential out of that god, so much CC potential and team fight potential out of Hun Bots. Fear no evil. No matter what season, no matter what year, no matter what game you're playing, a giant circle of CC is always going to be good.
But they leave open a lot, and Yemoja, Odin go to the other side. That means Persephone is still open for Woogy and No Bloogys, and I'd assume that's where they are going to end up going with this selection. It can get out of Odin cage, even though everyone can now. It takes a little bit more time. I'd assume it's Persephone, but instead it's Kukulkan, another god that is left open. So now oHey can get Yemoja, Odin, Persephone, and that seems pretty good, but they decide to go a different route. They go with the Hachiman instead, there for Frasion, liking him on that selection and banning away the Jing. You surprised to know Persephone for the top 3 for either team?
I'm a huge fan of Persephone. I've made no secret of it. Long range, high damage potential, truly one of the few snipers in Smite outside of her ultimate, which is another huge range, damage potential, and giant circle CC, as I just praised for Hunbots. Persephone also has a jump as well, which is a little bit more rare in the mage column. She's so absolutely powerful that I can't imagine why they wouldn't pick her. Instead, she does get banned out by Woogies, hoping that oHey doesn't pick it up. Pele gets picked up for Glaivus. Again, I have to assume. He did have a fantastic showing last game, only about 10,000 damage. Yes, he got into that 5 digits, which he didn't find the first game of this set, but you need Persephone to do more, or not Persephone, Pele rather, to do more than that. She is a high damage potential, high 1v1 trade god, and Glaivus hasn't quite found that quite yet.
Giannis is going to be the pickup in the mid lane for Amuel. Again, this composition for oHey, you look at the Odin cage and you think, what are we doing in it? And last time you had the back off, you just had this undiveable backline. Giannis is going to be hard to kill, but I don't know, Mifflin. I'm not in love with the composition for oHey this time around. It just feels like it's a little bit all over the place.
You know, I've been a pretty vocal hater of Giannis in the last couple weeks. As a mid laner, this is one of the few casts we've done together. I would like to hear some of your insight, maybe why Giannis is seeing such a resurgence this season.
He's fun. And that's about all I can tell you, because I agree. I don't think he's very good right now. I think that the itemization, he really needed Obsidian Shard to have any shot to kill tanks, and without that, you just don't. You can't kill frontliners as Giannis pretty much ever. So Wolves should be able to just walk at him for the most part. Kind of like Wolves is walking at Kiki right now. Kiki poked out a little bit on that side. Wolves not going to hit level 2, so he'll be okay, or Kiki will be okay rather, but certainly getting bullied. Giannis, I mean, you played against Giannis a lot because we scrimmed a lot. And I was a Giannis one-trick back in the day. I love this god, but the way the Giannis works is that you use him to facilitate other gods, because Giannis does something that no other god in Smite can do with added mobility to other team members by giving them portals in and out. And if you're not picking him for that reason, I just never see a reason to pick him. And that's always my biggest complaint when it comes to these teams picking Giannis, is that I just don't think that if you're picking Giannis because we need mage damage, they're just better picks in my mind every time.
More sustainable damage as well, easier to land, but the duo lane fight erupts on this side of the map. molluskk finds the dash, but the fight is going the side of oHey. GuyJ hasn't been hit just quite yet. It seems like oHey is completely willing to focus all their attention on molluskk, instead shifting the stun now. That is a long-standing fight in the duo lane. Waves are meeting up, farm is being lost, but Ocean's in a lot of trouble, falls. Frasion now alone, dashes in, 2 versus 1.
Scary stuff. molluskk has no relic to help him out, and that ricochet does good work, but here comes Amuel using that mobility. Not going to be able to catch him quickly enough, but Frason's Heavenly Banner just a bit of damage short. About 40 HP left for molluskk, and he knew he was going to be fine all along. First blood goes over to GuyJ, and Woogy and No Bloogys get off to a nice start.
Having a first blood on a hunter never feels bad, especially once you're going towards one of these stacking items in the early. I imagine we'll see GuyJ shift his focus towards the Devo's gloves, get it online a little bit earlier, get to stack it a little bit earlier, or he can continue the aggression that we've been seeing out of this Blood Forge and use that lead to get his boots online a little bit quicker. Either way, no bad options here, especially now that you are 500 gold up just about off the back of that first blood. Yes, both ADCs did lose about half of wave taking that team fight, which means they're both going to be a little bit lower on the XP curve than we would expect to see at this point in the match. And when it's happening to both of you, it's not really that bad. It's just going to make it a little bit easier for both junglers to move over to that long lane, but instead, it seems like Layerssss and Glaivus are going to shift their focus towards that short lane. Stealing away the blue buff are Woogy and No Bloogys. That's a little bit of farm. The first blue buff steal makes not for a lead. It's whether or not you can continue to pick up that cooldown and stop this Yemoja, but Taking away that CDR from Yemoja is going to make it a lot harder for her to clear wave, as well as her Omi is going to be a little bit harder to regenerate. It's definitely huge. Osiris is already getting the better end of that lane through his aggression, the slows from his one constantly up, as well as he has an actual auto attack chain, unlike the Guardian Yemoja. So it's going to be hard for her now, especially with this deficit.
Molluskk getting aggressive on this left-hand side, but just in the name of earning pressure here for GuyJ, who is working towards those boots. Seems like that's where he's going to put his first blood gold, is towards that little bit of extra mobility. I feel like this is the type of start that Woogy and No Bloogys want, though. Wolves is off to a good start on that right-hand side, pushing out Kiki. He's already forced him to use that TP earlier than he would have wanted at this point in the game. Forced him back. Now you've got a lead for Oboronic because Layers hasn't had to soak a whole lot of farm there. Surprised to see Oboronic have the lead, though, up against Giannis, who's usually so good at building himself experience and gold leads because of his ability to go to farm basically anywhere on the map very, very quickly, but just has not been the case so far for Amuel, as his right-hand side Wolves actually uses that ultimate to get away. Not sure exactly where Glaivus was and didn't want to get CC chained.
As well as at that point, Wolves hadn't backed yet, so now he's actually spending up all that gold he has, walks to lane with the Warriors Tabi instead of Ninja Tabi. Normally you would see him shift his focus towards that attack speed as he's an auto attack god. Amuel uses his beads and escapes the Spirit of the Nine Winds.
But Layers will not escape. Oboronic won't either. Through space and time, gonna make sure of that. Nice play by Amuel, who really set himself up to get killed, but Oboronic, just a little bit of decision paralysis again, a little bit too late on that ultimate. Didn't realize what was going on as Frasion just dashed, and GuyJ knows it.
Wow.
GuyJ taking this 1v1. Frasion, no ultimate. No way he gets out of this. GuyJ steals purple and the life of Frasion. 2-0 for Woogy and No Bloogys Hunter.
GuyJ, a relatively unknown player before this set, I think now has the eyes of the Smite community. He's been popping off. This fight continues in the solo lane. Wolves getting a little bit of aggressive. Oceans finds the jump, but I imagine he moves out alive. Layers pushing out Glaivus, making sure that he can't participate in the fight. Now molluskk is here.
Oh, perfect ultimate between Wolves and molluskk, and now Kiki could be next. The tier 2 dive is on, and Glaivus gonna get some good damage off. He'll kill molluskk with help from Kiki. Well, Kiki will kill with help from Glaivus, I should say, but it's still a nice 2-for-1 in favor of Woogy and No Bloogys. That beautiful slow by molluskk and the ultimate from Wolves right on top ends up being huge. They get 2 kills on that right-hand side as Wolves continues to do Wolves stuff, which is just run at you over and over and over again.
And that's all he's ever done since I've known him, at least. I've been playing against this guy a long time. And W key is the only key this man has bound outside of his actual abilities. It's easy to play against if you recognize that's exactly what he's going to do. A jungler can shift his focus over there, and Wolves is seldom going to shift his own play style. He's definitely steadfast in holding down that W key. But unfortunately, he's also immensely good at the game, so if you do send someone over there, as we saw, he took the 2v1 long enough, winning the 2v1 essentially, for his team to get there. molluskk finds the fantastic ultimate to clean up that kill and give credit towards Wolves. Ganesha can't get kills himself. It goes to the nearest god. That is what his passive does. Now, the gold lead is only about 400 favored Woogy, but the XP lead is a bit more.
Wolves going to use that ultimate to avoid the damage from that River's Rebuke and put a little bit out onto Kiki. Looks like molluskk wants to get aggressive on this left-hand side. Dharmic Pillar's already down, but didn't seem to find a whole lot. No relics there for Amuel in mid, but that will be remedied shortly. 5 seconds and his beads will be ready to go once more. It looks like that fight has stalemated, though. molluskk might be in a little bit of trouble as Glaivus has actually gone in looking for the kill alongside Oceans. With that cage, they will end up finding the enemy support. molluskk punished for his aggressive play on top left with a good dive on the bottom left by oHey. Layers on the way over, but can't imagine that this is going to amount to a whole lot as Wolves tries to get this solo invade going by himself.
This is the first time we've seen oHey really take the driver's seat in the early game this entire set. Now fighting in, trying to find their own aggression inside the enemy jungle. It's truly the first time. I think that might be off the back of Glaivus having the best start he's had all set as well. 1-0 and 3 on that Pele. A level up on Layers. That hasn't happened quite yet, as well as every lane seems to be able to maintain their own deficits. Everyone's got the XP about equalized at this point. This is an even game. This first objective is going to be highly indicative of the rest of this match. I imagine we see the Gold Fury group up pretty soon. I favor oHey for that fight insofar as they get there first. I've been preaching it a long time. Defensive positioning around these objectives is so important.
Well, Kiki has no defensive positioning here as he falls to that Blink Fear No Evil, though Amuel was close by. Wolves no ultimate, and he's in a bad spot now, but Glaivus doesn't have his ult quite yet. Good threshold slow, and here comes the ultimate for Boronic, but it's not quite there as Amuel had already backed up. Beads used after that horrific emblem coming from molluskk, but Glaivus is still standing strong. In fact, he's going to turn it around and put down molluskk with the Pele, nearly able to find Boronic as well. Oceans just needs that spear to land, can track it, but doesn't need to use that auto-homing. He's going to land it himself and get himself another kill. 7 kills now. oHey's in the lead in the kill department.
Layers getting a little bit greedy around that blue buff.
He's no way for him to get away. 3 in a row now for Glaivus. Talk about his best start so far. It's not even close. 3-0-5 for him on this Pele. Top of the net worth charts, top of his team in player damage.
Has the Teleria boots as well, able to chase down anyone, especially with his third ability, able to get that additional movement speed. I mean, this Pele is going to be zooming around the map. Taking that power hit generally hurts him in the early game, but with this 2-level lead, it's generally a non-factor. He's just faster.
Wolves has to ult away. River's Rebuke forcing that nicely by Kiki on the rotation towards mid. I mean, Amuel's got a lead now. Boronic has not been able to find a good home with that ultimate so far. I mean, it only takes one for Kukulkan, but hasn't been quite accurate with it yet. Objectives is the name of the game, though, with that ultimate most of the time. And with between Fear No Evil and Dharmic Pillars and Spear of the Nine Winds and Sunbreaker, that's a lot of objective control that Woogy and No Bloogys have if they want to start going for objectives.
They can immediately burn down anything, but oHey has that offensive repositioning tool that you were talking about in Yanis. If they spot out any sort of objective start from Woogy, they can just teleport in.
molluskk uses his ultimate. Layers even uses his. A little bit scared of how much damage molluskk was taking in that moment, trying to keep Glaivus at bay. And they do, but Glaivus uses nothing. No beads, no ultimate, no problem for the enemy jungler. And with those 2 big zone control ultimates down, oHey gonna head on over towards this Gold Fury. Boronic has his ultimate up and certainly has the best secure available on the map, though doesn't have a whole lot of points in it. He's actually prioritized that Zephyr, interestingly enough. Blink Cage by Oceans. Amuel
nice
comes in through the portal. It gets instantly flattened by Boronic, but because he doesn't have any points in that ult, it doesn't one-shot him. Amuel is actually going to be able to escape thanks to that extra movement speed that Yanis gets. So Woogy and No Bloogys don't get any kills or deaths on their side. They're going to try and pull this Gold Fury. Amuel, no ultimate. Right now, Gold Fury getting low, and it's secured by the Order side, but Kiki has rotated over. He upgraded his teleport for this rotation, so he's got to try and make it worth it. He's trying to find Layers right now, but a little bit short in the damage department. GuyJ falls towards Frasion, and Layers jukes around long enough to get his blink up and out of combat, so he's good to go. Meanwhile, Frasion not quite as lucky. He's got a beads, a good horrific coming from molluskk on this Ganesh, and Wolves in the middle of 4. He's done that quite a bit. He finds Frasion. He might actually end up living here. Somehow it feels like Glaivus is doing no damage to this Osiris. Wolves is able to waltz in the 1v4, get the kill, and waltz out. In fact, he's not done. Still looking for some damage onto Kiki. Ocean's gonna turn and stun him. That is what you expect, but here comes Boronic and Layers. Layers has that ultimate ready to go, and he's gonna drop it onto Amuel, who still has his purification beads. Kiki low, but not quite low enough for Layers, but misses the somersault. Ocean's gonna find Boronic. A bit of a sloppy engagement now. 3 in a row for Amuel as molluskk falls, and Layers might be next as he again gets caught going for a buff at the wrong time. No, he somehow escapes literally a sliver of HP, but it could have been even worse on an already not great engagement for Woogy and No Bloogys.
Layers was primed and ready to win that fight for his team instantly. He finds the ultimate on a Yanis that teleports into him. That's all you can hope for from your monkey, but unfortunately he didn't have the damage out to finish off any of his targets. Kind of shifts his focus to different targets throughout that team fight, doesn't find anyone instead, and then gets aggressive, as you said, on that purple buff. Maybe gets poked out a little bit too much and barely survives with his life. Yanis, instead of electing to chase him down with the ultimate, uses it defensively as he spots out GuyJ. Doesn't really want to take that fight. However, Layers, that is only can be declassified as a misplay. There were a lot of kill potential there, and he just doesn't find anything. Now, what was a decent fight for Woogy No Bloogys, which was a 1-for-0 trade, getting themselves the gold free as well, turns into what I hate the most, sticking around for the fight afterward, losing 4 of your members, getting nothing off the back of it, not even spending your gold from the gold free. And now, oHey picks up the fight and the Pyromancer off the back of it.
Frasion isolated on this left-hand side, but he still has that mounted archery, so he should be a-okay. Rotation coming from the rest of oHey after they've already finished off that Pyromancer. Amuel used that ultimate because he was worried about the silence coming through by molluskk. That gives some portals, but that'll be the end of that. I agree, though, Miff. I mean, Wolves walks in, gets the 1v4 against Frasion, and you feel like you should just wash your hands of that engagement at that point. Just immediately backs up. But just odd decision-making to keep going by him and the rest of the team. As a nice juke by Kiki actually forces Wolves to pull Fire Giant accidentally. That'll give Kiki an extra teammate, so to speak, on this side of the map. He's got another teammate coming too, though. It's Glaivus, and Wolves gonna have to use that ultimate, but in classic solo laner fashion, hits him with the up-down. Glaivus still has his ult, but decides not to commit. Doesn't want to go up against that tanky Osiris, but oBoronic has been locked in. Spear of the 9 Winds thrown out and not going to find a home. Kiki finds oBoronic, and Layers already has to jump away. Double kill for Kiki on this Yemoja. Layers going to be the third. Amuel finds another one. And when the damage isn't particularly consistent out of Odin Cage, Mifflin, what's the best thing that we can do? Group up for it anyways and make sure we're getting hit by everything. Bad fight selection, I think, has also plagued Woogy and No Bloogys. And oHey, all of a sudden, they've got a 3K lead.
I've been playing this game for a long time. I've played it competitively for 3 years. I can say without a doubt in my mind that Woogy and No Bloogys are lacking a shot caller there. I mean, it's evident to me that Wolves rather, wasn't even thinking about the state of the engagement. Aggressing onto Yemoja there makes no sense. molluskk getting poked down the middle lane as well, trying to defend 2 versus 1 with no help. I mean, these guys are taking fights that don't make any sense. Wolves had no one in range to follow up of any form of damage that he can deal to Yemoja. He knows that he's on the neutral side of the map, as well as that they spotted Glaivus out on a ward, so they knew Pele was rotating in, but he continues to take the fight aggressively, up-downing with the ultimate, immediately losing the fight after that. The rest of his team is already too close to him trying to peel him out. I mean, it's just sloppy.
Well, Layers is going to find Frasion to get something going in Woogy and No Bloogys' favor, but oBoronic has to be. It's a good stun coming in from Kiki, who's looked strong so far on this Yemoja. Glaivus blinks in, has his ultimate ready to go, and he should be able to catch oBoronic here. Volcanic Lightning rips through, and he's looking for one more shot, but can't quite find it. That's slow, good enough for oBoronic to get away. Glaivus now has to deal with Wolves, but he's only level 12. Not too much of a concern for the behind Osiris, but how about GuyJ with the flank looking for Glaivus, and dive bomb secures it, gives himself a blood shield as well, which could be critical, as he's going to need that extra HP with his positioning. Amuel with some good damage coming out and over the top. Jarvan pillars are solid. Coming from molluskk, and Wolves is going to be able to find one, but GuyJ does fall to Amuel in the meantime. So it's a 3 for 2, if my memory serves, as Amuel is looking to make it a 3 for 3, and he does. Beautiful use of that ultimate to get him in range, and he'll finish off Wolves, who's struggling so far. Only level 13 in this engagement. This, it's just all over the place, Mifflin. I agree. I don't know if it's shot calling or what, but discipline for sure is at an all-time low for both teams at this rate.
I would say they have agreed to play an arena game. Amuel getting poked out a little bit, forces out the beads. He's now, no escape abilities available. oBoronic completely full health, full mana, finds the kill with the Zephyr. Now Frasion gets the return kill onto Layers. I mean, what objective are they even fighting over at this point? Nobody's grouped up to do the gold fury. These guys are taking disjointed fights. Now Frasion pulling it for himself. oBoronic doesn't have Spirit of the 9 Winds available to steal it.
Not yet, but it's coming up soon enough. Glaivus going to do good work at keeping oBoronic at bay, and Blink in from Oceans will do the same. Cage down. They're going to let Frasion try and solo this objective as Glaivus makes quick work of oBoronic, but here comes Wolves. He's teleported in on that left side, tier 1. He's going to be able to force Frasion off of that objective. Though I don't know if Frasion realizes just how far ahead he is of Wolves right now. Wolves is fairly tanky with the build, but base stats are lacking for the very least. Level 13 on this guy. Down 4 levels to the jungler in mid, 3 levels to the ADC. Osiris from behind is one of those gods that feels... Look, every god is worse when they're behind. Osiris is an example of the gods that feel really, really rough from behind. Gold Fury getting low. GuyJ looking to get a cheeky steal with molluskk right there, and they're going to do it with the Sunbreaker Dharmic Pillars combination. They take out that Gold Fury and stem the bleeding. Beautiful ultimate from Amuel, going to flatten molluskk as he tries to run away, and GuyJ still standing strong, trying to take down Oceans. But he's at least going to force Amuel and Oceans back. That is a huge play by Woogy and No Bloogys to try and get some momentum back in their favor.
I mean, that's all they could hope for, was stealing away the objective. Now it's only a 3,000 gold deficit favored oHey. To touch on what you were talking about, Osiris does one thing as a character, and it is holding W, dealing damage constantly, using your low cooldown abilities, using your auto attacks to just constantly whittle away at somebody. You don't have any true burst, so once you're behind, you don't have that tankiness, you don't have that damage potential from your levels. He is a god that suffers from being behind, more so than just about any other.
A beautiful wall block there onto Oboronic, but it's not enough to kill him. I don't know if Frason's ultimate didn't land there or if Oboronic got around the wall, but I know he survives one way or the other, even without his Aegis for that mounted archery. Surprise that doesn't end up in a kill. But it gets both relics out from Oboronic, so certainly good work there by Kiki in that. The tier 2 tower still standing. This is kind of reminiscent of game number 1, just the opposite way, isn't it, Mifflin? I mean, oHey's in the lead, they're doing things well, but you kind of have this lingering feeling that can't really waste too much time here. They've got to be pretty quick with this end because it feels like Woogy and No Bloogys have pop-off potential, so to speak.
I mean, they've been winning fights that they have no right to win. They've been stealing objectives that they have no right to steal. But they're also taking ridiculous fights. Both teams are. So there's a lot of throw potential in this match. It's truly anyone's game. Now, Woogy and No Bloogys behind, engaging under the tower, finds the snipe from Oboronic, Spear of the 9 Winds, finds a target, 3 ultimates down.
Players caught in the cage, both the water cage and the real one, and Kiki's going to be the one to get the kill. molluskk now on the receiving end of some damage, and Glaivus going to make sure he doesn't have anywhere to go. Amuel chases down Oboronic effectively, and now GuyJ out in no man's land. A double kill for Glaivus, a 4-for-1. They killed Frasion, but again, for what reason? What's the point of dumping 3 ultimates into the ADC underneath this tier 1 tower? And Woogy and No Bloogys have some time to think about what they've done. They've got 4 members on the respawn, maybe 5, until Wolves uses that ultimate. He should be A-okay here. oHey get the tier 2 tower in mid, and I imagine we'll be heading towards Fire Giant.
It blows my mind that that wasn't the call sooner. You got a 4-man pick and a tier 2 tower immediately. Instead, you choose to chase down the Osiris with his ultimate still available. I mean, it is absolutely sloppy play. Now Layerssss is available to move in towards this Fire Giant, as is molluskk. Yes, they're far away. They should be able to clear it out beforehand, but this level of discipline is so low. Had they cleared this Fire Giant maybe 30 seconds ago, they could already be using their pressure to get these lanes pushed up and start moving in towards the tier 2 tower in the long lane. Instead, it is literally getting contested.
Okay, oh, close one. Wolves nearly walked in and autoed that thing to death, but it still goes the way of oHey, and this is where we learn our lesson, and we leave after this engagement. Layerssss finds that Fear No Evil, and Kiki teleports right into it, but he's still plenty healthy. Oboronic here with his ultimate. This is where Cabrakan can make something happen, but that through space and time nearly hits onto a couple. Great ultimate, though, from Oboronic, gonna put some health bars low. Frasion gonna find himself at least 1, if not 2. It's 2 for 2 so far, and it turns out we have not learned our lesson, Mifflin. We get the Fire Giant, and we push forward, and we lose 2 members. It is the 2 frontliners, so it could be worse for oHey, but certainly not ideal.
Certainly not. Losing your 2 frontliners as well, you have no one to tank down these objectives. Yes, you still have the passive healing out of Yemoja, so it's not that huge a deal, loss of sustain from these tanky targets to tank out these objectives and these structures, but at some point, you have to realize that every single time we stick around to take the fight after the objective, we're losing somebody, and it's never worth it when you could take the favored 5v5 under a tower or something like that. Instead, I mean, can't really fault him too much. oHey can't predict a 3-man Spirit of the Nine Winds ripping through every single one of your hyper carries, but you opened yourself up to that happening.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the narrowest corridor on the entire map. That little choke point right there is as narrow as it gets anywhere on the Smite map. Of course he's going to throw it right there, and of course we're going to walk into it. We don't have much of a choice if we're going to try and cage with Yemoja and Odin. It just feels like the lack of discipline is really, really prevalent on both teams. You've been calling it all day, and I find myself agreeing. Still okay, though, for oHey. I mean, they're still up 6K, Fire Giant all their damage dealers, and it looks like that lead might grow with this Gold Fury, because Wolves is out split pushing on the right-hand side. He's trying to catch up. He's only level 17, and he really needs to be level 20 sooner rather than later if he wants to tank in this style of game. Woogy and No Bloogys, that's the turnaround potential. Kukulkan ult does that. It gives you that out, so to speak, in these games, where even if you're losing, oBoronic finds a big ult and prevents us from insta-losing the game right there. If he finds another one of those, maybe it makes them win.
Speaking of oBoronic, take a peek at his build, electing for Shoes of the Magi instead of Shoes of Focus. The additional mana from Shoes of Focus would have synergized well with his kit, his passive turning mana into power, as well as additional CDR means he's going to get some more of those Spirit of the Nine Winds online, but instead elects for a little bit of a strange pickup in choice of Shoes. Is it that big of a deal at this point in the game? Absolutely not. But it is maybe these small micro misplays that are turning these early games in favor of oHey. Now, they're on the door of the Phoenix. Spirit of the Nine Wind used immediately, finds absolutely no one. That's your best defensive ultimate down.
Okay, well there's that. We don't got to worry about that anymore. oBoronic needs to worry about being in this cage, and he's going to have to worry about it quite a bit. He takes a lot of damage. Glaivus actually gets his ultimate body blocks by Layers. Nicely done to save oBoronic's life, because he had no Aegis, but this left side Phoenix is toasted. Now this left side fight continues. molluskk down to about half HP. GuyJ puts out some good damage on the defense, but oHey's already gotten what they wanted. They got that left side Phoenix and can reset, heading towards mid lane now. Ocean's a little bit poked out, and remember, he doesn't have that Fire Giant, but Kiki is playing Yemoja, so good sustain on their side. I don't know if that was a fat finger from oBoronic, maybe let that ultimate go when he didn't want to. Maybe he was trying to, you know, they're going to expect it whenever they start sieging. Maybe I could just throw one out, they won't hear it because I'm far enough away, and I can one-shot Amuel or Frasion. Maybe that was the thought process. All I know is that that fight gets a lot harder without Kukulkan.
I mean, we could try all day to justify that ultimate with some mental gymnastics. I think the best excuse we can give for him is it was a literal misclick. That should never work. That should never be the play, especially when you have so many gods that have hard CC on your team. You can ult off the back of a Hun bot's ultimate. You can ult off the back of Ganesha finding his dash, or even a Hu Yi stun. So I think calling that a fat finger would be no exaggeration. But yeah, on the bright side, oHey, for the first time this entire set, shows the first ounce of discipline, picking up that Phoenix, realizing that they have no ultimates available on their side, as well as all the actives were down for Odin. They might as well back up, get ready for this next Fire Giant, and they do so. Now, benefiting off that decision, they have the defensive positioning around this objective. I doubt Woogy No Bloogys even wants to move in at this point. It's the first time we've seen discipline, and it's rewarded heavily.
Pyromancer goes their way as Fire Giant about to respawn. No Aegis for oBoronic, so that's the only main relic really down on the side of Woogy and No Bloogys. Oceans does have his relics on cooldown, which is relevant, but looks like it won't be because Woogy and No Bloogys make the wise choice to defend that Fire Giant. We could all assume that that was a misclick there by oBoronic on that left-hand side, and you imagine that this defense gets harder up against this composition if that threat of the Spirit of the Nine Winds is there. Do want to see someone try and keep Oceans in combat, though. You really can't let him blink on oBoronic and cage him every fight and expect to win. It's going to make it a lot harder if he's going to be in those cages.
Unfortunately, I think Woogy No Bloogys' only option for keeping Oceans in combat is Osiris, but the lead as it is, it's hard to get anyone close enough to Odin to stop him from blinking in. You're just going to die to the huge wall of damage that is Yanis, that is Hachiman, Frasion, as well as Glaivus picking up anyone that steps out of position. The dance the Phoenixes begins now. They have the 4-1 split with Glaivus in mid. Layers is over there to try and stop Glaivus from aggressing into it. However, Glaivus does have that Magi's Blessing to counter out the ultimate from Layers just a little bit. So the 1v1 potential should favor Glaivus. It looks like They might elect to put 2 over there. molluskk now rotating.
Feel like Layers might be able to still win that 1v1, but we'll have to find out later. Oceans blinks in, but doesn't find oBoronic this time. It's only GuyJ, and he can jump away, so no problem there. Spear of the Nine Winds comes in, but it doesn't find anything this time for oBoronic. Stun coming from Oceans, but Frasion gonna find himself the double kill. Make that a triple kill as Frasion is just ripping through Woogy and No Bloogys. He's doing whatever he can to try and find it, but Glaivus gonna take one away from him. That was pentakill territory, but I think oHey is gonna be just fine with the result. They get the win 2-1 over Woogy and No Bloogys.
It was a wild set. It absolutely was. I mean, this looked like some untested Smite, the Wild West of competitive, if you would. There was truly no discipline. It didn't seem like they were following the rules of combat or anything like that. These guys need to read up on some Sun Tzu, get back into the battlefield if they want to start competing at the SCC level or even move in towards that SPL level. Right now, they're showing that they can compete mechanically, but just as far as decision-making goes, it's not looking great.
Still have some ways to go there, for sure. But at the end of the day, it's still a win for oHey and an impressive comeback, because those games like Game 1 where you get double killed early on, those can be tilters, especially for Glaivus, who had a really rough first 2 games, frankly. Even in the win in Game 2, didn't really contribute as much as you would have expected, but he turns it around and did a lot of good work this game. He ends up top of the player damage charts overall. Amuel right behind him. We were saying we didn't like the honest pick, but Amuel proving that it worked out well for him. And Kiki on the Yemoja looked very, very potent. I think that oHey certainly turned it around towards the back end of the set.
I mean, anyone playing Yemoja is going to look good eventually, especially seeing the healing that comes out. But we have to give it up to Glaivus. It's the first time this set that he really found any form of impact, dealing more damage this game than he did in the last 2 combined, beating it out by about 2,000. Game 1, he found about 9,800 damage. Game 2, about 10,500. Now dealing 21. This is Glaivus' best performance yet. If he can continue to harness that level of play, he should be a player to look out for. He actively shut down Layers. Layers instead kind of getting the tables flipped on him and not being able to participate in these fights nearly as much as you would want to, especially off having a Hunbots who is so participating with his huge ultimate Fear No Evil, as I said going in, is huge in these team fights, but he didn't find a single one that really turned into anything good for his squad.
Amuel had a great game on the Giannis as well. I mean, just a good team performance from oHey. And of course, Frasion nearly pentakilled them at the very end. Glaivus stole the last 2, but the first 3 all went Frason's way. I mean, this is a team at oHey that you look at the roster, these are names that you should recognize, and there's a team that you certainly have to watch out for. On the other side, for Woogy and No Bloogys, molluskk support, that experiment didn't look great to me. Clearly, he still needs a little bit of work there, though that comes with time. I think GuyJ had a really, really great performance in ADC, but oBoronic was a little bit hit or miss. Game 3 was really rough for Wolves. Layers didn't really do as much as you'd expect with the lead that he had in Game 2, and then Game 3 certainly wasn't as effective as you would have liked. So some consistency issues still seem to plague this roster as it did through SEC qualifiers, and SEC open bracket, all that kind of stuff, and still seems to be a problem for this squad.
Once they start to close that up, oHey has massive potential as a team. Looking at every single one of these players, they have competitive experience for a long time. They're all mechanically very good. If you play any ranked games, you'll see them at the Masters, the Grandmasters level. It's just, it seems like they're lacking a shot caller. Once they get one of those together, once they really find their defining characteristics as a team, once they find their own style, their own beat to play the drum to, that's when these guys are going to become an actual threat. As of right now, discipline is lacking, but these are definitely a team to look out for.
Well, we'll see if we can see them again in future weeks in the SOC. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Know we had a couple difficulties today, but appreciate you sticking with us. Make sure you're staying home, staying safe, and we'll see you next time here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv or mixer.com/SmiteGame. For myself, Mifflin, the whole production team, Mackenzie, most importantly, who finally decided to show up at the very end. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peach it.